All right. And we are back. We had a nice week. We went to the beach, spent some time in the sand and the sun. Not too much sun, as you can tell. Not very sunburned. This is about as tan as I get. This is about the darkest skin color you will ever see me right here. Very, very, very white. Very white is my my nickname, I think. All right. Today, my friends, we're going to watch some Barbie and some Ben Shapiro. Ben and Barbie. Barbie and Ben. Because Ben Shapiro was triggered. Hardcore triggered by a Barbie movie because we are the no fun party now. The Republicans are the no fun party. You can't have anything nowadays without people getting super upset on one side or the other. And the Republicans have targeted fun. They don't like fun, okay? So this week we're going to take a look at Ben Shapiro's opinion on Barbie. We're going to take a look at a couple other things. We're going to take a look at Weiner, Anthony Weiner. But I don't know if we're going to have enough time for that. If we do, we'll check it out. But we're going to start with some controversy. We're going to start with the Majority Report talking about how the Barbie movie, apparently, according to Mr. Ted Cruz, according to Big Tech's Ted Cruz, the least manly man's man I've ever seen in my life, that there is communism afoot in the Barbie movie due to some dots on a map. So we're gonna watch that shit. We're gonna see exactly how truthful these accusations are, according to Sam Cedar and the Majority Report.
Let's do, I guess, this insane Ted Cruz clip. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Gotta be more
Jesse,
specific.
Jesse Waters had.
I don't know if you guys ever heard too Tom Segura's whole bit on Ted Cruz. You know, he says he's not saying it's Ted Cruz, but he's definitely saying it's Ted Cruz. And how Ted Cruz approached him once while he was walking, I think he was walking his dog or something like that, and started talking to him about incest porn. Yeah, that's Ted Cruz, okay? So, is this the most insane thing that Ted Cruz has ever said? Definitely not.
Senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, on his program. Jesse Waters has taken over for Tucker Carlson. And they're talking about the real issues in America, which is, films, right?
And not the way that...
And this is my thing with the getting mad about Barbie thing. It's like if Dumb and Dumber came out, like, today, like, people on one side would be super fucking mad because they'd be like, they're making fun of disabled people. And then people on the other side, the right side, the conservative side, not the right side, the conservative side would be like, they're making fun of us. They're saying Republicans are dumb and dumber. Like, there is no fun anymore. Like, you can't, like, movies can't just be made because it was fun. Like, movies have always had messages. Barbie has a message, and that's acceptable because all movies have messages, right? But, like, no one can watch a movie anymore. Like, you can't just, like, enjoy going to the movies because if you do, you're, like, supporting communism. It's fucking insane. It's getting out of control. Hey, what's happening, LB?
They compensate their writers and actors. It's,
No.
that they are trying to social engineer men out of existence.
Apparently, I thought
I love
Barbie
that
was
bird.
going to be a fun time for me and my friends to like have a little wine before and then see maybe Ryan Gosling with his shirt off, some fun colors and outfits. But
Right? See, that's what I'm saying. Like, is that not what the goddamn movie's about? I mean, like, people get so upset. They're like, but it had a message about the patriarchy in it. It's like all movies have, like, a message of some sort, right? I mean, maybe not Dumb and Dumber. Maybe not Dumb and Dumber. Dude, that parrot, taping the parrot back on, dude. Yeah, for sure. Oh, my God. But I'm saying, like, can't somebody just, like, get a friend, go down to the movies, watch a Barbie movie, have a good time without getting accosted by Ben Shapiro and Ted Cruz calling you a communist?
no, that's not what it is, apparently. It's also a Chinese communist plot, according to Senator
right.
Ted Cruz, one of the most visible senators, most powerful people in this country, came in second in the Republican primary, and this is how he thinks.
Senator Ted Cruz is mad at the Barbie movie. His beef with Barbie centers around a map. If you see right here,
Beef with Barbie.
next to Asia, shows the 9 dashes. Now, those dashes signify Chinese ownership of the ocean island.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't think it has anything to do with it. I don't think the 9 dashes... Are there 9 dashes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold on. First of all, there's only 8 dashes. And what about these dashes over here? Dude, my kid has art that looks suspiciously like this map. I'm gonna bet money this is like a director's like 8-year-old or 9-year-old that drew this map. Why the fuck does this have anything to do with communism? Like, oh my God, look at the American flag. It's not drawn very well. That's because they hate America. Like, dude, it's Barbie, bro. What grown men are going to the movies to see Barbie? Dude, it's Ben Shapiro going to see it. We're gonna watch that in a minute.
And reefs.
But can we really call Ben Shapiro a grown man? I don't think we can. He looks like he's 12.
The Chinese believe they own the South China Sea. But
Can you pause it for a sec? Keep that up there. Keep that up there. Keep that map up there. Okay. So I have seen the trailer enough and have gotten excited enough for the movie that I can tell you what's going on here. This is, I believe, one of the Barbies, like, own maps of the world, right? It's not meant to be some sort of secret, like, you know, QAnon message.
Look at the
to
cartography
world.
here.
No, this is how Americans see the rest of the globe.
There's
This
a,
is-
right. It's meant to be like a.
Dude, he's right. You can't hate on Americans for this. This is how they see the world, dude. This is how we see it. Like, really poorly drawn with many colors. And I like the QAnon shit because you know that somewhere out there, there's some QAnon people that watch this shit and they're like, yes, they know. Jesse Waters is a goof? Yeah, LB, like, the fact that this dude has become the Tucker Carlson, like, he's the dude that, like, represents, like, the semi-conspiracy crowd now. It's like, could we just not have had that? Could we just, like, have gotten away from that? Could we have just, like, maybe been a little more serious about our news instead of making it all kind of like some crazy-ass conspiracy bullshit? Like, Fox News is going to start, you know, well, hey, I mean, look, is the earth flat is a good question, okay? I'm just saying it's worth asking. Like, no, it's not fucking worth asking. It's the dumbest shit ever. We shouldn't be even, like, thinking about stupid shit like this. Like, there's plenty of things that we should be worried about. China is definitely a very competitive country, and they're definitely trying to economically put themselves ahead of every other country in the world, put themselves in a place to position themselves in a position of power to make sure that they are well ahead of everybody else when it comes to AI. And what are we doing? What are we doing here in America? We're getting mad at a fucking map in a Barbie movie. These people are talking about how China is, like, subverting our culture and how we're gonna lose the race to rule the world, which, first of all, is that really gonna happen? But, like, seriously, this is what we're doing? If you're so fucking concerned about China, you should be concentrating on things like AI. You should be concentrating on things like the economy. You should be concentrating on things like the birth rate. Things that actually matter, because we actually have a hand up on China and the birth rate. We actually have a society that economically is more sound than China right now. We do owe them a lot of money, though. We are in a place where if we wanted to, we could put ourselves in the race with everybody else to be the top country in the world. But what are we doing? We are concentrating on the 8 dashes on a Barbie map. If we lose, we deserve to lose, okay? Because this is the dumb shit that we think that we should be concentrating on. Ben Shapiro going to Barbie movies. Skynet Rose, exactly, LB. First of all, okay, Oppenheimer came out the same time as Barbie, right? Okay? Why did Einstein, what was he told? Roosevelt? I forgot which president he told. Why did he tell the president, like, you need to create a nuclear weapon? That was because he knew that the Germans were creating a nuclear weapon, right? We gotta get Skynet going now, okay? Before China does. Like, this is important shit, man. It's not not 8 dots on a map that like somebody's 9-year-old drew. And yet Jesse Waters is the goofiest motherfucker. I think that it's hilarious that these like traditional conservatives are like, men need to be masculine. Men need to be the leader of their family. Men need to be the leader of their workplace. Men need to be capable of defending their wife and children when if there's violence. And then these are the motherfuckers they give us. Jesse Waters, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson. Who's it? Michael Knowles. Are you fucking kidding me? Steven Crowder. The dude literally had like breast implants. That's who you think is a traditional male? That's who is masculine to you? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
A childlike depiction of a map in a in a movie about a toy. There are dashes all over the place. There are waves. There are hurricanes.
Dude, no shit, I just saw this. There's a fucking slant. There's a football play. Dude, first of all, I'm hitting that running back out of the backfield there because that sailboat's got no coverage. 0 coverage. He ain't going to be able to cover that. Sailboats are big, clunky, and they have a hard time making a U-turn. That running back, if that's Saquon Barkley, he hits the mid and he just goes right to the end zone. I'm just saying that. But come on, guys. Like, nobody's pointed out this business. There's a fucking Madden play in the middle of the goddamn map, and you're trying to take it seriously. Jesus Christ. There's like a fucking boat with an umbrella. There's like little mountains. That's how I used to draw the mountains too, right there. That's how I used to draw the mountains as well. Like, America looks like a turd. It looks like a tornado. Oh, God, I said it. Looks like a turd. They're going to be like, that's it. They think America's shit. There's a crown over here. I'm going to say that's Ireland because I don't know shit about geography. I was born in a trailer park, okay? I don't know anything about geography. We're going to call that Ireland, all right? Because that's my people. Definitely
Hurricanes. This is not a depiction. This is not the desire from the executives to make sure.
What do I think about the demographics that came out on what group saw Oppenheimer versus Barbie? I did not look at that. You got a link to that? I would totally look at that. That's actually pretty interesting stuff. I'd love to see that. Now, I also, maybe something that's confusing me here, I don't understand. Was it like you paid for both movies? You saw Barbie and then you saw Oppenheimer? Because that seems like really conflictual. That's a roller coaster of emotions right there. Also, big Oppenheimer fan, so I definitely want to see that movie. Barbie, we'll probably see Barbie with my daughter or something like that because I'm not Ben Shapiro. I'm not going to see the Barbie movie by myself because I don't want people to look at me weird, dude. And guess what? If you're a grown-ass man and you're going to the Barbie movie, then yeah, people are probably going to look at you weird, and that's probably acceptable. I'm going with my daughter.
Or that hurricanes happen.
Oh, I don't know. I look at this and I think I support China invading Taiwan right now. I don't know how you can get any other meaning from that map.
Wait, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 dashes.
Yeah, there's only 8 dashes.
Didn't he say there's 9?
Yeah, he's right. And the 9 apparently, does go to some sort of the 9-dash line at various times, referred to as an 11-dash line, not by the Republic of China, is a set of line segments in various maps that indicate the territory. So yeah, it's not 8 dashes.
There's 8 on the map. They don't even have the number right.
I just don't think propaganda works very well if it's this coded.
Not the average QAnon, dude. 100%. They are reading this map like it is like the study book for an exam. Like they are all over this map. They are like, okay, obviously they're running a slant with a sailboat, 8 dashes next to Asia. Trump's winning in 2024. Totally.
Right.
What he's trying to explain. Like if you have to explain it this much, most people are just going to think it's like the little dashes on a map, like a pirate treasure map.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Subliminal
like
advertising, like it doesn't really work that well. The extent that like we think it can change behavior that much, you actually need a real message that people consciously interpret and decode to really change.
Yeah, but
behavior.
I mean, there must be something very secretive about it actually being 8 dashes as opposed to 9. Let's see if they get into that. Let's go back 10 seconds
Jesus
in this
Christ.
complete insanity.
Senator Ted Cruz is mad at the Barbie movie. His beef with Barbie centers around a map. If you see right here, next to Asia, shows the 9 dashes. Now, those dashes signify Chinese ownership of the ocean, islands, and reefs. The Chinese believe they own the South China Sea, but they don't. So why did the Barbie movie bow to China?
I'll have to check that out, LB. I would like to see that, because obviously that's what I would assume happened. Like, people that aren't looking for communist propaganda in a Barbie movie probably went and saw Oppenheimer because they're like, oh, my kid's not going to want to go see Oppenheimer, so I'm going to go watch Oppenheimer. Meanwhile, the QAnon MAGA, like, crazy asses were probably like, there's definitely going to be some 100% Trump is showing his plan to us through the Barbie movie, and the world is going to end in probably 2 years on May. Why are you having trouble watching the stream? Are my children downloading stuff up there?
It's a business decision. Warner Brothers bows down to China more than Janet Yellen. Senator Ted Cruz joins me now. So, Senator, did you even see the movie, or did you just see this stupid map?
It came out yesterday.
No, I have not seen the movie. I've just seen the stupid map. And
Ted Cruz watched the movie. Ted Cruz definitely watched the movie. You telling me Ted Cruz? Look at that man right there. That man watched the movie.
And I got to say, look, I mean, as you just showed, the map is drawn like in crayons. It's roughly a map of the world, but China, Asia,
There's no
just
Europe.
This big crayon box. But then right to the east of where China is are the 9 dashes. And to anyone who's not really focused on geopolitics, those lines don't mean anything. But what those lines indicate is the Communist Party of China puts out official maps with those 9 dashes, and they are asserting sovereignty over the entire South China Sea. They're saying all of that is China's. And by the way, all of their neighbors disagree. Vietnam disagrees. The Philippines disagree.
How are those two maps even comparable? I don't understand that. How are they even close to comparable? I don't get that. Like, you're reaching, bud. You're reaching so fucking hard right now. Like, this is where we're at with our society, is that, like, it's like we can't have anything nice. Like, everybody has to ruin anything that we have to, like, there's messages. The world's going to burn. Like, I saw something like, it's like every year for the last 20 years or something like that, they ask people, like, how optimistic they are about the future. And, like, every year people get worse and worse and worse. It's like we're like doomsday people. Like, we can't, like, be happy with all this great shit we have. We have to, like, just make up crazy controversies and crazy fucking conspiracies out of a Barbie movie so that way our lives can have meaning. It's like, look at these people. Look at what we're looking at right here. Jesse Waters, goofy ass. Ted Cruz, who's possibly the Zodiac Killer, allegedly. Margaret Robbie trying to play in a fucking fun movie, and we're comparing it to a China map about how they control the South China Sea. I don't understand.
Degrees. Actually, the country of Vietnam has banned the movie Barbie.
How do they feel about
from
us?
their nation because these 9 dashes are replicated.
So they can't see Margot Robbie. That is a huge mistake. Does Warner Brothers have to push this propaganda so that they allow the movie to be showcased in China?
Yeah, what he's getting at, kind of without realizing it, is that actually what we're doing right now, you and I, Senator Ted Cruz, is marketing this movie and telling people about it to the extent that's probably going to raise sales.
Please.
Like they might rely on this sort of stuff. I don't know. I often think a lot of the culture war stuff that I think that the studios kind of do subconsciously play into it. I don't think, because if we looked on that map, there's also dashed lines in the.
So I don't disagree with that. Like, to get the movie shown in China, which has like a bajillion people, which they make a ton of money, would they do something like would they limit the amount of like homosexuality? Would they limit like cursing? Would they limit like certain things to make it viable to play in China? Would they even like edit the movie for it to go into China? I believe that all of those things happen. This is what I'm saying, is like, you don't need to make something out of nothing. There's definitely times where you can point out like, hey, like, these guys are doing these things specifically because they want to be able to show the movie in China. That is something that you can actually, like, get behind. Like, oh, yeah, they're probably doing that. And then you have to determine whether or not that's a good or bad thing. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. That means that that's what they're doing to make more money. And this is a capitalistic society, which I thought conservatives were, like, 100% for. But, like, when you make up weird shit, like, look at the dots on the map, that, like, completely takes away from your legitimacy of your argument. So you can't just, like, say, oh, look at these dots on the map. That means that they're, like, they're pushing communist propaganda, and then expect anybody to take you fucking seriously when you make any point after that.
Caribbean, I don't think they're saying, like, this is the Monroe Doctrine.
Or there's no...
Renee, they can't ask the person who illustrated the Barbie map because the person who illustrated the Barbie map was probably like 9 fucking years old. It's like somebody's kid, dude.
Oh, there's no continent of Europe. Did you see the continent of Europe on that map? Because I don't. And do you know what that means? They want to erase the Aryan race.
I was gonna say it. They want to get rid of white people.
Right.
Obviously. Obviously.
I didn't see it. I did see how the American flag only had like 7 stripes on it.
Wow. Do you know those are probably for the blue states?
I assumed it was some sort of reference to Islam.
Stars are for the states.
Shit.
Dumbass. But see, I don't even know.
Who knows? Who cares?
Yeah, who knows and who cares?
I also didn't count the stripes, so I was making that up.
Let's keep going.
Go, Robbie. That is a huge mistake. Does Warner Brothers have
look
to
in the
push this
background.
propaganda?
Look at the clip that's playing right here this whole time while they're talking. It's like a girl showing her feet while another girl makes like a vomit face. It's like girls making like crazy faces, and it's Barbie. Like, the fact that these dudes can take this shit seriously just shows how fucking bored they are. Like, the news cycle just sucks right now.
So that they allow the movie to be showcased in China, which is what, like 1.8 billion potential customers?
Yeah, look, that's exactly what's going on here. Obviously, the little girls that are going to see Barbie, none of them are going to have any idea what those dashes mean. This is really designed for the eyes of...
Dude, no one's going to know what those dashes mean. Freddy Monster over here needs to stop looking so deeply into fucking... And look at Jesse Waters. He is so fucking goofy. These two motherfuckers... Oh, my God. I can't right now. I can't. These two should be a tag team wrestling. Like, they could be tag team champions or some shit. Holy shit.
The Chinese censors, and they're trying to kiss up to the Chinese Communist Party because they want to make money selling the movie in China. And sadly, Jesse, this is a pattern we've seen of lots of Hollywood movie studios allowing China to censor American movies. And I got to tell you, I introduced legislation. It's called the Script Act.
What is he talking about? Like, this has been happening forever in, like, cultures all across the world. Like Saudi Arabia, China, Russia. It's like, if we want to talk about human rights issues and then be like, hey, we shouldn't be giving them our cool shit because they have all these human rights issues, fine, we can maybe talk about that. I still might think that's kind of weird, kind of dumb. But to be honest with you, if you want to like actually make a good point about why we shouldn't be giving these like movies or censoring our own culture, like take for example homosexuality. If there was homosexuality in this movie and we were to censor it, as we do sometimes in places like Saudi Arabia, like Abu Dhabi, and we were to cut it out just to make them happy, I would be against that. I would say that's kind of ridiculous. I don't think you should cave on that. I don't think that you should be making it morally correct to censor homosexuality because I stand up against that. But if you're just saying that like China wants dashes added to a map to show that they own Taiwan, like it just seems like a stretch of the imagination. I don't think that movie studios are doing that. And I just really don't fucking understand.
That says the federal government will not allow movie makers to use U.S. government assets, things like jets or tanks or ships or helicopters.
Good.
If they allow the Chinese government to censor their films. And my legislation in substantial parts passed in December of last year.
What the fuck does that mean? So you can't use tanks, you can't use airplanes, you can't use like U.S. soldiers in movies that are going to be censored by the Chinese? Like, but in what way? What do you mean censored? Once again, what are we talking about? It's the fear of the other. He's seeing a boogeyman under his bed. I bet this dude sleeps with the lights on.
Just a few weeks ago, the Pentagon put out the official guidance saying, if you let China censor your movies, you're not getting U.S. assets. Sadly, the Barbie movie, they didn't have any F-35.
Were there tanks with the U.S. flag on it in the Barbie movie? Were there airplanes? Were there American soldiers in the Barbie movie? Is this G.I. fucking Joe?
Should not be allowing U.S. assets to be used in making of Hollywood films to begin with. Like the Pentagon's like that we have had like official U.S. military involvement with regards to films about what we've been doing in the Middle East is appalling, and it should be historically damned. It shouldn't be like tinkered at. Just we can only do it in case we're like aggressive against China in the content.
And this is not censorship. This is actually not. It's an addition, even in their insane interpretation. It's an addition of like a nationalist Chinese thought.
Right, she's right. It's not even censorship. Like, he's so off base with these. He's like talking about the opposite. It's not censorship. They're actually adding something into the movie, allegedly.
Thought about the sovereignty over the South China Sea, but it doesn't have the 9 dashes. It just has the 8 because that makes it a little more subtle.
Gotta hide it,
apparently,
yeah.
you gotta hide it.
Dude, you can't expect Fox News, people on Fox News to count, dude. Okay, Jesse Waters there. He went to a small American college. All right, Ted Cruz. He's just a lawyer. That's it. You can't expect him to know how to count.
I mean, he is drawing, at least touching on a trend in movies that you can notice over the past few decades, and that not necessarily censorship per se, but, you know, there's been a lot more Chinese investment in certain large, blockbuster movies. That's why, like in like not Terminator, but like Transformers, like 4, they just somehow end up in China. That's why at the end of the Meg, they end up in China. Yeah. This is just like a funding decision that some movies.
Yeah, but is that just a China thing? I bet you that there's fucking tons of countries that do that. I mean, this just is like, this stinks of the same shit as when people got super mad about the spying. It's like, oh, can you believe they're spying on us? It's like, we're all spying on each other, dude. Like, do you guys not know that? Are you that simple that you believe that there's just like countries that exist out there, or that our country exists in a manner that we don't spy on other countries, that we don't do all kinds of subterfuge to try to like get fucking assets from other countries? Like, I guarantee France does it. I guarantee Britain does it. I guarantee America does it. China's probably not the only people influencing movie culture with the hopes of like pushing forward a message that you should come to America. This is where it's good. This is where we have the greatest shit. I'm willing to bet that
studios are going with the fact
it's
that
capitalism. Like, that's a massive market. So that is part of why some of these movies are being like directed towards China or giving lip service or whatever. They want the international box office is incredibly important for those big blockbusters, which are like Marvel movies.
There's 400 million people in America. There's like some odd billion people in India, some odd billion people in China. Like, you think that like our country filled with capitalism is like, fucking America though, we ain't gonna show them our Barbie movie because we're patriots. Like, no, of course they want people to watch this movie in India. Of course they want people to watch this movie in China. That's where the majority of the world lives. That's where all the money is.
And freaking Transformers or whatever.
They just matter a lot more now, and that's just what they're gripping. They're griping about that. Like, movies have to be made with an international audience in mind, and some of that stuff is bad. Some of the stuff that some countries do not want in their movies can be anti-gay. It can be anti-trans. It can be sort of anti.
See, this guy can make Ted Cruz's point for him. Ted Cruz should shut the fuck up and pay this guy to go onto the camera for him and talk for him.
Certain ethnic minorities. So are some of the decisions that we make in our movie industry.
Yep.
But all of that would be said that it's wokeness by Disney trying to indoctrinate your children. Like, what Ted Cruz is in favor of in terms of censorship domestically is the censorship of, say, a lesbian couple kissing in Buzz Lightyear. Apparently that's woke indoctrination. But in fact, Ted Cruz is very much aligned with, say, Saudi Arabia or other governments that won't show those kinds of movies because they include that content. So the person who's
he's not against censorship. He's against censorship that he doesn't like. He's not pro First Amendment. He's pro First Amendment as long as you're saying things that he likes.
Censorship on behalf of these movie studios is definitely Ted Cruz. Well, that was dumb as hell. Let's take a call. Calling from a 707 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
I don't even know what to say to it. Ted Cruz is so not even relevant anymore. I'm sorry to the caller for
Hold on. one second. Well,
Yeah, I was just saying, like, this, it's so
One second,
clear,
Micah.
like, this is just, like, Ted Cruz, like, grasping for any sort of relevancy. When's the last time anyone has talked about him? He's like just a nobody in his own party, in
Right.
their own media world. Nobody in right-wing media even talks about Ted Cruz anymore. He doesn't appeal to the very small, serious Republican base. He doesn't appeal to the much larger MAGA Republican base. Even the even further right guys don't like him. Like, he's just flailing in that party, and so he needs to do things and say things that try to give him some relevancy at this point, because he's even in a worse space now than when Donald Trump was just on a regular basis attacking him and his wife, because at least then people were talking about
Bringing
Ted Cruz.
it back up, dude. That's fucking based. Yeah, dude is like struggling to remain relevant. He'll do anything to remain relevant, and like I said, he's the fakest masculine dude you'll ever see. He's absolutely insane. Let's see. All right. Oh, oh, damn it. That's what I was watching. I want to watch that Trump crashes and burns. We're going to get back to Ben Shapiro and some other stuff here. But I wanted to watch this because Trump's been kind of quiet lately. He's been kind of quiet. He's had a lot of he's had a lot of his time has been spent dealing with legal issues lately. You don't get to see too many Trump clips. It's ruining the popularity of my channel.
That's a great question. I've seen so.
So here's a good one. Let's watch this one. And this is Brian Tyler Cohen, who I like as well. You know, I like all my dudes, my Kyle Kalinskis, my Luke Beasleys, my Brian Tyler Cohen, like the Majority Report. Most of the people I got was from the Majority Report. Most of the subscribers I got was from the Majority Report. So let's watch a little Brian Tyler Cohen. This is Trump. What's the name of Trump's church? Isn't it Trump Church? I mean, if Trump had a church, dude, it'd just be called Trump Church. Doesn't he just it was like Trump Steak, Trump Water, Trump Tower. Like, dude needs to hire a fucking marketing company, okay? He needs to come with better shit, dude.
The question is, how has your faith grown since you decided in 2015 to run for president? And who has met...
Oh, I bet you his faith has grown immensely over the last month or two. His ass is probably praying nightly right now, okay? He is probably like, it's like that when you drink too much alcohol, when you're laying on the couch at 2:30 in the morning and you have way too many shots of whiskey and you're saying to yourself, please God, just keep me alive, and I swear to God, I'll never drink again. That's what Trump's doing right now. Trump's like laying on his couch at 2 in the morning going, don't let them indict me. Please, sweet baby Jesus, I will become the biggest religious supporter of all time if you just keep me out of this indictment that I have gotten myself into. Dude, yep. Okay, so go ahead and turn your Bible right side up. Okay, somebody else read this because I can't.
entered you in your faith journey?
Great question. It's such a great question. I've seen so much heartache and turmoil. I was a developer and I did other things.
Dude, Trump has kind of like a little baby mouth. I don't know if you guys know that or not. Like, he got a little baby mouth. Also, that skin is looking thick. The skin is thick right now. He is otherworldly. Okay, now look, I'm not big on conspiracy theories, guys. But, okay, he might actually be a serpent person. I'm going to throw it out there. Allegedly.
Things, and I had a wonderful life before all this stuff. I didn't know what a grand jury was. I didn't know what a subpoena. What is a subpoena?
What? He didn't know what a subpoena. Okay, actually, I was gonna say, how could he not know what a subpoena was? I have a feeling Trump doesn't know what a lot of words mean.
I had a wonderful life. I'm so glad. They asked me the other day a little different question. Are you glad you did it? You had a great life. Are you glad you did it? I couldn't be more glad. I am so happy I did it because I've made America great.
Wait, was the question, were you glad that you became president? Because wasn't the question, didn't she say, how has your faith grown since you became the president? My guy. Yeah, he has been. Yeah, actually, LB, you are correct. 100% he knows what the fuck a subpoena is and a grand jury is. Like, how? What? No. This man.
Great, we can do it again. Right now, we are not a great country. We are not a great country.
Yeah. Look at those white people. White old people. Holy shit. Oh my God. You could pause at a Trump rally at any point and you just see like the craziest fucking people, dude. It is actually kind of fun. It's like being at the state fair. It's like when you stand in the midway at the state fair and just watch all the people, like you just people watch them because I'm too scared to get on the zipper. You just watch that, dude, and this is what you see. This looks like the state fair right there. What's up, Bucket? I gotta stop yelling into the mic like this. I see that in my videos when I edit, and I know it gets loud as hell. Sorry, guys.
But I've gotten to know, because of this, evangelicals, I mean, I know so many people, and they feel so good about themselves and their family, and they base it on religion.
Dude, okay, at least this lady kind of looks like she's kind of getting a little bit irritated. Like, I wonder if it's even going through her mind right now that he's not answering her question. I wonder if that matters at all to her. Or if he just, like, the fact that he just, like, randomly rambles about the weirdest shit, she's just like, yeah, this motherfucker is spitting right now.
I had never had that kind of an experience where I got to know so many. And Franklin Graham and Paula White. I mean, I know so many people that are...
Dude, Paula White is a nutcase, dude. If that is your representative of religion right there, I don't know what to say.
So incredible. Religious people. And not just Christians, not just evangelicals. You know, when I look at the Catholic faith, you take a look at...
Not just Christians or other Christians or Catholics.
But the FBI... No, but look at what the FBI...
You notice he's never like Muslims, Jews...
FBI is doing to Catholics. They've made them like the enemy. They've made them, it's horrible. How could a Catholic ever vote for a Democrat or a guy like Biden again after the...
Wait, isn't Biden Catholic? Yeah, I'm so confused.
Experience that they're going through. But
you knew he had to mention the FBI. Oh, we paused it. Oh, we paused it. Look at that crowd. Oh my God, look at that crowd. Look at this gentleman up front. He's got a nice, like, farmer's tan. Look at, there he is. Oh, love. Oh, yeah, there's definitely a lot of love at a Trump rally. Oh, so much love. You can cut the love with a knife. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Trump. We got some empty seats, bro. Oh, someone's getting fired on Fox News right now. They showed the empty seats, and what is this? She has a bedazzled shirt. You guys remember the bedazzler? Oh my God. Tell me that's not bedazzle work right there. That's some sequins right there. I bet she got some rhinestones on her jeans.
I've met...
Oh, and those are some, look at that. Oh my God. Those are tassels.
Some of the finest people that I wouldn't have had the privilege of meeting if I weren't president, and they're religious leaders, and they really are incredible people.
Yep.
Now look, I've heard that guy bullshit before, but that right there was the biggest load of bullshit that I think I've ever heard. And if you know Donald Trump, that's saying something. Trump wants so badly here not to answer the question that he jumps around more than a 4-year-old in a bouncy house. She's like, how has your faith grown? And he's like, you know I was a developer, right? Have you ever heard of a grand jury? You ever see that I received a subpoena? I could not read a book, stand in front of a lecture hall of 400 people, and still give a more convincing speech than Donald Trump pretending that he's religious. You gotta love, too, how he eventually just starts naming religious people that he knows. This is basically the...
Dude, and that was a softball, dude. Like, that's such a softball question. And this is why I say that Trump is, like, 100% not religious when people are like, he's a man of God. It's like... It's okay to support somebody that you like, but also accept that they have flaws and stuff, right? Like I like Joe Biden. I do think he's getting older, and I would like to see a younger person. But I do support him because I think he has been getting some stuff done, right? I do think that Hunter Biden's got some problems that need to be addressed. It's okay to accept that you like somebody, but not support everything that they do. In fact, you should like people and not support everything that they do, because the chances that you ever come in contact with another human being where you are completely simpatico, like everything that you believe, they believe, everything they say you support, like that's not realistic, and it's really fucking culty. Like all he had to do in that situation was go, yeah, I would have to say, since I became president, I want to thank God. I want to thank God for putting me in this position of making me the president of the United States. And you know what? I really am every day more thankful for God. And that's how I become more religious as time has passed. He could have said anything. He could have done anything. You wish that he was more progressive? I've actually heard that quite a bit, LB. I've heard that from a lot of people that are progressive, that they wish that he would be a little bit less establishment and a lot more progressive. And that's at least if you're coming from a progressive point of view, that's an acceptable criticism of Joe Biden. Like, I've seen people criticize Joe Biden on the left about a lot of the things that he does, about a lot of the things that he says, that he isn't like forward enough with his rhetoric. But I have not seen anybody in the QAnon, Trump adjacent QAnon sector that are willing to say, okay, he might have fucked up, perjuring himself. Okay, he definitely admitted that he had those documents and he didn't. Like, in his own words, he has said things like, I cannot declassify these documents, and still these people are like, there's some other reason for it. There's some other reason. That is a level of cultiness that if you can't realize it, you need an intervention. Remember that show they used to have where the person comes out and it's like your fucking wife or your girlfriend or whatever, and they sit down and tell you you're an alcoholic and you've been abusing them and that like it's not okay. Like that's what these Trump supporters need. They need like one of their family members to come out of the back and like play clips of Trump saying shit and then being like, "Do you see what I'm saying?" It's just crazy. What's up, Carolyn? Hi. I am so happy that you got here, Carolyn, because how many times have you missed me? I am. Thank you for popping in, Carolyn. Dude, it's insane. Yeah, they need an intervention, LB. I don't know. Like I said, like people will talk to me about the people that I support. Like I'll say something about Marianne Williamson. Oh, I would like to see Marianne Williamson get a chance to debate people and how and then people will go, well, do you believe in this that she thinks? Do you believe in this that she? And I'll think about it and I'll go, okay, well actually that's a good point. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, because I don't think that I 100% agree with any politician, but I also don't 100% agree with anybody. Like not even my wife. Don't tell her I said that. Yeah, I like Marianne. I think that she has some, but that's what makes us special. And I mean human beings. I don't mean left. I don't mean right. I don't mean progressive. I don't mean fucking crazy conservatives or QAnon people. I mean human beings. What makes us special is that each of us has like a unique ability. All of us have intrinsic value. Every one of us is really good at something. Some of the things that we're really good at, probably not the most important things, but they all have their space, right? And what makes us great is that when we all come together and we all work with each other, we can use the things that we're good at, use the ideas that we have that are good with other people's ideas that are good, and we can form like a fucking political Voltron. We can like go out and really do good for the world, not just for America, but for the world. But instead we have this weird like fantasy that there's going to be one human being that embodies every trait that we could possibly want. And that's just not really a thing. It isn't. I have, to be honest with you, I have a problem with not really looking towards leadership. That's why I'm in leadership, right? Like, that's why that's my job, is I choose to be the leader because I have a hard time finding leaders that I find to be people that I would follow. And when you look at somebody like Trump, he's obviously got flaws, and maybe he even has some things that he does that could be good, but with a bunch of yes men around him that just encourage him to keep doing the dumb shit that he does, you're never going to get to see the good shit he does because it's overwhelmingly fucking covered up by all the dumb shit that he does.
a Christian equivalent of being asked to discuss the importance of diversity, and you responding that you have black friends. And of course, the two names that Donald Trump lands on are Franklin Graham and Paula White. Just to give you an idea of who these people are, Franklin Graham is an outspoken Trump loyalist who attacked Barack Obama as a Muslim, supports conversion therapy, contested Pete Buttigieg's Christianity because of his sexual orientation, and defended Vladimir Putin's anti-gay law in Russia. Paula White is also a Trump loyalist who defended his policy on detaining immigrant children and offered the opening prayer at the rally preceding the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Some real stand-up folks there. I'm sure Jesus would be proud. And by the way, this whole con isn't new. Trump has been bullshitting about his faith for years. Here he is back in 2015 before he even became.
Yeah, I think he's about to make your point, LB. But, you know, I'm a redeemer, right? Like, I'm a person that believes in a path to redemption. I don't know if there's a path to redemption for Trump. but hold on. Hear me out. Don't everybody unsubscribe right now, okay? Do you think, and this is a serious question, do you think that even Trump could be redeemable if perhaps he had had the right people around him when he was younger? I'm gonna guess that he's what the rich like to call a victim of affluenza. Okay, he had the negative of being grown up or growing up rich. Okay, this is what the rich believe, affluenza, right? I think that if he could just have had the right people around him telling him about his bullshit, and I believe in that redemption value, right? But I also agree with everybody that's kind of like, well, we're well past that. I do agree with that as well.
President.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking
That's
about
what I
how it's
heard,
your
LB.
favorite
His dad
book,
was a bastard,
and you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are, and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that
no.
Dude. Oh my God. This is like literally what I say when a conspiracy theorist comes on my channel and is like, hey, do you know about Joe Biden and the secret pedophile ring? And I'm like, bro, I don't know. No, I'm not going to comment on that because I literally don't know shit about it. But in my case, I actually don't know anything about it. In Trump's case, he also doesn't know anything about it.
I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible. The whole Bible is an incredible. I joke.
Dude, once again, can't you just drop like a random fucking like a random Bible quote? We all I'm not religious. I've been to a couple of churches, but I'm not religious, right? Like I have a belief in a creator, but I'm 100% against institutional religion in the way that it's used, right? Like, couldn't you just say do unto others? Couldn't you have just said the golden rule? I'm a big fan of the golden rule. Do unto others. How about God helps those that help themselves? Big fan of God helps. That's a good Republican one right there, right? That's a great Republican one. God helps those that helps themselves. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, poor people. God helps those that help themselves. How many others? He who is without sin, throw the first stone. You could have went there, dude. This is why when people are like, he's so smart, he's so good at this. Dude, that Bill Burr show was fucking amazing. That Bill Burr show, he goes, I bet some of you, we're in a very, very, very white community up here. He goes, I bet a bunch of you guys are Trump supporters, huh? And, a couple people scream out or whatever, and woo, fuck yeah, luckily it was 10% of the crowd, thank God. And he goes, yeah, you guys fucking love him, don't you? You fucking love him. He's a smart businessman, isn't he? He's really fucking smart at business, right? That's why he fucking bankrupted a casino. He's like, the only business that you can't fail at, he bankrupted it. He's like, and he wrote 2 books while he was doing it, and you fuckers are just out there eating it up. And he's not wrong. That is 100% of these people are. It's if you watch, is that also, hold on. That's a Wu-Tang symbol. I'm distracted. I have ADD. That's definitely a Wu-Tang symbol, though. What the fuck is there a Wu-Tang symbol? I mean, Wu-Tang ain't nothing to fuck with, but Why do they have a Wu-Tang symbol on their fucking table?
Very much so. They always hold up The Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
Yeah.
He's never read a book. I would put money on that. There's not a lot of things. I'm not a gambler. I don't play slot machines. I don't play dice. I don't play 21. I would gamble. I would put money on the fact that Donald Trump has never read a book in his entire life. I don't know. Anybody want to take that bet? Let me know.
I could pass myself off as black easier than Trump could pass himself off as a devout Christian. And by the way, it's not just Trump. A bunch of these Republican politicians love to pander to the evangelical base of their party by putting on this whole religious song and dance. Here's Ron DeSantis, and, well, this is just next level delusion.
You know, I think, like, you know, could I have been there with Jesus' disciples? I mean, you know, these are people who, you know, Peter's just fishing one day, and all of a sudden, you know, this guy comes up to him, catches all the fish, and says, you know, you're going to be fisher. I want you to be a fisher of men. Come with me.
What? Wait, what? Dude, Ron DeSantis is a weird dude. I didn't know anything about Ron DeSantis until the whole president thing started. The presidential campaigning started, and obviously I had heard some stuff out of COVID, but you don't get to see him talk and stuff, right? Like, at least I didn't, because I don't really watch Fox News or media or CNN or anything like that. I don't even have cable. I mostly like go and like try and check shit out as much as I can on my own. He's a fucking strange dude. He is really weird.
And so these guys all went out and they dedicated their life to spreading the gospel. And they all were killed for, you know, they tried to kill John. John ended up, you know, being able to survive. But I mean, the intent was.
Were all the apostles killed? I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big religious person. Somebody's going to need to help me out there. Were the apostles all killed? I don't think they were all killed, right?
To put him to death too. And, you know, to talk about what that was like. You know, talk about what their impressions are. You know, what did that, I look back at that and would love to have been able to be there with them.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis, right up there among Jesus' disciples, sending migrants off to different cities where...
Dude, New Age, Jesus' disciples, Ron DeSantis, Kanye West, or Ye. Dude, didn't Ye say that he would be an apostle too? Dude, that would be fucking hilarious. Somebody needs to make that happen.
News outlets have camera crews ready under the pretense of lies about housing and employment for a 5-minute cable hit on Fox, just like Jesus would have done. And look, I'll be the first to admit that I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to religion, but I am sure that I can safely say that nothing about what Ron DeSantis or these Republican politicians are doing while pandering to the base in any way, on any planet, comports with the teachings of Christianity. We're talking about a party that has moved relentlessly and shamelessly to cut earned benefits and food stamps, all of which are employed overwhelmingly by the elderly, the poor, and the disabled.
Dude.
They've moved to prevent refugees from resettling in their states. They've moved to prevent workers from earning a living wage in deference to ultra-wealthy CEOs. I mean, you quite literally could not have a party more openly antithetical to the values of the Bible if you tried. And let's be clear, that scam artistry is finally becoming apparent enough that Democrats are pushing back. Here's Pete Buttigieg during a recent interview we had, assailing Republicans for using Christianity as a shield for policies that in no way actually comport with the stated values of that religion. You know, you've been pretty outspoken about your faith, and you've pushed back against this idea that the right has a monopoly over religion in this country. Can you speak about how certain conservatives are weaponizing their religious beliefs?
Dude, and that's true. That's actually, I didn't think about that, but it is almost like a monopoly of religion, right? Like, the right is seen as being hyper religious, and then the left is like, I mean, I think there's only like one person on the entire, like, that's ever been elected that's an atheist, right? So almost everybody that's been elected is a theist. I didn't think about that. That's really crazy. But my boss was talking to me about this one time, and she was saying, she was talking about the American flag and how she's so upset that it's become this like right-wing symbolism. Like, the American flag is only right-wing, and if you have an American flag, then you must be conservative. And it's like, fuck that. That's our flag too. It's like, the American flag represents all people. It doesn't represent just one person. It represents everybody of every race. It represents everybody of every gender. It represents the rich, the poor. It represents all Americans. And the fact that it's like in some way like dominated now by one side of the aisle is absolutely like strange and ridiculous. And I'm not cool with that. I think that every Democrat should go out and buy like fucking 3 flags and put them outside their house. Now, don't do that dumb shit they do with putting them on their cars. Don't do that. I'm not down with that. But, you know, like it's like this whole idea that you can't be a patriot unless you're on the right is absolutely absurd.
As basically a tool, a political tool to wield against vulnerable communities.
You know, the faith that I practice in a Christian tradition and the scripture that I read focuses on making yourself useful to the least among us. It talks about how salvation has to do with protecting the poor, with protecting the oppressed, with welcoming the stranger. And there's a particular emphasis in the Christian tradition, and I think in most faith traditions, on looking out for those who have sometimes been ostracized or marginalized and put upon by society, those who are in need of defense. And it's so different from what I see as some figures try to invoke religion as an excuse to make things even harder for those who are already on the margins, to afflict the afflicted. I don't recognize my faith in that. And even more importantly, none of us should be out imposing our interpretation of our religion on anybody else. That's one of the most basic principles of our Constitution and of our country. It's part of what makes America, America. The freedom to practice your faith and the freedom to go about your life knowing that whatever faith, if any, you subscribe to, that's not going to be held against you, and somebody else's faith is not going to be imposed on you.
So whether it's Trump or DeSantis or any of these Republicans...
And can you, like, just imagine that if these people, whether they be left or right, could meet on these like similar ideals. If they were to say, hey, look, in the Bible it says we should take care of the poor. It says that we should take care of the downtrodden. It says that we should accept a stranger into our house. Whether you're left or right, if you're both religious, if you both love Jesus, if you're both religiously intuited, if it's what you believe, right? Like that's what everything in your gut tells you should do. Then you should be able to do some really good shit. Like if you could get together and create policy for the poor, the downtrodden, if you could create policy for the oppressed and do it in a bipartisan way where both people came together, wouldn't that be like the most Christian thing to do? Wouldn't that be reaching across the aisle and like helping your fellow man up? I once said it when Kaepernick was kneeling, it was like one of these visual things for me, because I love football, right? Where Americans were really, really upset that he was kneeling. And I said, why don't you try to help him up then? Why don't you try to help him up? Why don't you extend your hand to the dude that's kneeling because he feels like he's oppressed, because he feels like he has nothing in the world that he can do about the people that he loves being oppressed, being hurt, being taken advantage of? Then why don't you just extend your hand and help him stand up, and then maybe he don't have to kneel? Like, why can't these people get together if they have such similar beliefs, and why can't they do something good with it? And I'm not just talking about Christians. I'm talking about Muslims. I'm talking about Catholics. I'm talking about Christians. I don't know if Jewish people's ideals actually link up. I don't know too much about Judaism, but every one of these like religions are like 85% the same. Why can't they come together and do something great for the world? Once again, it's not just about America. We're all human beings. We're all human, regardless of color, regardless of gender, regardless of wealth, regardless of age. We're all human beings. It's almost not good enough to do something just for America. These people, if they truly believe these things, should be trying to do something for the entire world.
Republican politicians who hide behind Christianity while supporting policies that stand in stark contrast to the actual values of that religion, the phoniness is beyond clear. And let's be honest, if you oppose common sense laws that a vast majority of Americans support because, for example, you're owned by the gun lobby, then you forfeit your right to invoke your so-called religious beliefs in your speeches and tweets. If you vote to cut veterans' health care and education and Meals on Wheels for seniors, you are doing exactly the opposite of what your own faith preaches. I mean, Why are we pretending that we don't know what Jesus himself stood for? He was an immigrant who said to help the poor, welcome strangers, and called hypocrites wolves in sheep's clothing. It's like Republicans looked at the Bible when drafting their party platform and decided that every single one of their positions would be the polar opposite of what that book said. And look, I want to be clear that this is in no way an attack on Christianity, but it is an attack on people who use Christianity as a shield to spread bigotry and intolerance and harm onto people.
And that is why I hate institutionalized religion. It's not because of the people. Like, I believe that people need, like, a way to reach out. Like, obviously, it's really good for inmates. It's really good for, you know, a community. And it's really good. Like, the church does a lot of things like feeding the poor and stuff like that. Like, I totally believe in those portions of institutionalized religion. What I hate about religion is that it is constantly used as the device of control. That it's constantly used to make people do things that are against their own self-interest and those of the people that, the self-interest of those that they support. That is my main problem with institutionalized religion.
People who don't share the same views as they do. Or as the Bible says, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. Before you go, I need some help.
That right there, my friends. He ain't wrong. Wow. Like, that's just like insanity to me. Like, I mean, so many times they like quote this book, like it's like got all these facts in it, which I can definitely have a debate on that, whether or not it's factual or not. But if you do believe everything is so factual, if you do believe that it's like the source of the Lord's word, then what about what he just said? What about what he just said? All right, guys, it's time for a cleanser. This is what we do. We've watched a couple videos. We've watched the Barbie girl, and we're going to get into a little more Barbie girl here, okay? So we're going full cleanser right here. We're going to go full cleanser. Johnny Cash, There I Ruined It, because it's like one of my favorite channels right now. There I Ruined It, Johnny Cash sings Barbie Girl. Hope you guys are ready for this. Little cleanser.
Hello, I'm not Johnny Cash. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Oh, come on Barbie, let's go party, 'cause I'm in a Barbie world. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Make it last forever, friendship never ends. Up in my hands, up to playing my song, the butterflies fly away. Yeah, 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 it's a party in the USA. This is what you guys call music? Well, I'll be damned. Well, if they free me from this AI, if my voice was only mine, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Far from Barbie world, that's where I want to stay. Oh, come on Barbie, let's go party and take my blues away.
There I Ruined It. Everybody should subscribe to this channel. I don't know why I'm not subscribed. Oh, dude. Big iron on my hip. Oh, I almost. We'll watch that later. We're gonna move this over here. Cause, dude, I love me some Hank Hill. The boys are always whacking off on my tool shed. All right. It's time for the main event. First of all, guys, does Ben Shapiro not look like a dude that would watch the Barbie movie? Look at what he's fucking wearing. This is a grown man. He looks like he's like 12. Like, I can't even take his facial hair seriously. Like, I can't. He looks like a small child. and I can't get past that. So, anyways, here we are. Ben Shapiro destroys the Barbie movie. He looks like Ken's stepbrother Billy. And beat off, yeah. He's the type of dude that gets removed from the theater. Sir, put the Barbie doll down, sir.
Back from the theaters seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer. I'm about to review both of them. I'm going to tell you which one of these is the best blockbuster of 2023 and which one is maybe the worst.
I bet he loved our movie, right, Ken?
For those of you who can't wait that long, I'm going to give my review of the Barbie movie in the most Oppenheimer fashion.
What the f***? Run.
What the fuck? Okay, that's mildly disturbing. That's some weird shit, man.
So the things I do for my audience, my producers dragged me to go see Barbie the movie.
Hold on. Now, look at that face. You know they were like, okay, you gotta look disappointed. Stop smiling, Ben. Stop being so happy. You have to look like you're like upset that this is being done to you. Okay, and somebody pointed this out. Why does he have a notepad? I get that that's his Oppenheimer reference, but it's also really fucking weird to burn Barbie dolls. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. I just think it's weird. Why does he have a notebook? And can you imagine being the person that sits down next to Ben Shapiro as he's like got his like notebook out and he's ready to start taking notes on the Barbie movie? Like, who had to sit next to this dude? Hopefully it wasn't a very packed theater.
Barbie the movie. And I have thoughts. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Let me begin with my generalized assessment of the movie. This movie is not just a piece of shit. This movie is a flaming piece of dog shit piled atop an entire dumpster on fire, piled atop a landfill filled with dog shit. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. On every possible level, it is a horrific movie. The only thing that can be said for this film is production design. The production design is really nice. The costumes are really nice. Also, it's really hard to screw that up. It's really hard to screw that up because you literally...
Oh, dude. Of course he was into the pink houses, bro. Yeah. He's like, I hated the whole movie except for the majority of the movie. Like, the majority of the movie was good except for the rest of it.
really have this to model after. All you have to do is this, but big, okay? It's really not tough. But put aside all of the beautiful costumes, which is there for the ladies, and all of the...
It sounds suspiciously like he liked this movie. It sounds like he's like trying hard not to like the movie.
Production design and the Barbie universe and all of that. Every joke that happens in this film happens basically within the first 45 seconds of the film. So, for example, Barbie turns on the water and there's no water. Ooh, because, you know, like in Barbie house, there's no actual water. Do you get it? And then she drinks, but there's no actual liquid in the actual cup. Oh my God, because she's a Barbie doll. Oh, I get it. Okay, that's all the jokes.
Okay, hold on. Is he mad about like jokes that are obviously Barbie jokes? They're like Barbie inside jokes. Did he come to a Barbie movie expecting it to have like, I don't know, Bernie Mac humor? Did he think like Dave Chappelle was going to be telling jokes? Did he think like Bill Burr was going to come out of left field? Like, those are Barbie jokes. Yeah, they're funny to people that like fucking Barbie, Ben Shapiro. Jesus Christ. Ain't that America? Little pink houses for Ben. Dude, Barbie made the most at the box office of any movie this year. 100 million and 50 million for Oppenheimer. No shit, huh? He did come to a Barbie movie. Oh, God, Renee.
There are no more jokes for the rest of the film. The movie's a show. Okay, so conceptually, the movie is a show. I want to ask this. Who's the intended audience for this film? Who's the intended audience for this film? So I'll tell you who the intended audience for this film is.
Okay, hold on. Before he goes into who the intended audience for this film is, I'm going to say who it is. Okay. First of all, kids, right? But second, it's also for people that grew up with Barbie. I'm 43, okay? Don't do the math, all right? I'm 43. That means that almost every movie that's made right now in some way comes from something that was in my childhood. Transformers, from my childhood. G.I. Joe, from my childhood. all the comic books movies from my childhood, DC and Marvel, right? Even Oppenheimer, to be honest with you, is something that I grew up reading, right? I read about Einstein. If you guys don't know this about me, I love Einstein. Einstein's like one of my favorite people. I can still find flaws with him. But if he's about to say that it's just for kids, he's actually wrong, because it's not for kids, because it's also for people that experience nostalgia, right? It's also for like, and I would even say not even for kids. I'd say it's probably for girls in their teens, not teens, but like preteens and older women, right? Because those are the people that play with Barbie dolls. I definitely played with a Barbie doll or two, okay? Mostly, I might have set a few on fire myself, okay? But I was like 12, so it was acceptable. Yeah, okay, let's hear what he says.
And I can tell two ways. One, the previews on the film, and two, the people in the audience. So the intended audience for this film is moms and their 8-year-old daughters. Okay. That's the intended audience for the film. I know, because the previews for the film were all kids' movies. I'm talking like G or PG.
I disagree about 8-year-olds. I think that you're also talking like preteens. Preteens or young teens like 13, 14, maybe 15 as well. That's what I think.
G-rated kids films. We're talking like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Trolls 4 or whatever it is. Those were all the...
Dude, if he goes in on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I will find Ben Shapiro and we will handle this shit in the parking lot. You don't talk bad about Leonardo, bro. You don't talk shit about Michelangelo or Splinter, specifically Splinter. He kind of looks like Splinter.
Previews, right? All the previews are actually directed at what the audience is supposed to be for this film. And if you look in the audience, it's a bunch of moms, like youngish moms, middle-aged moms, with their like 6, 7, 8-year-old girls. That's the entire crew.
Okay.
This movie is not made for any of those people. In fact, this movie is made for no one. This movie is going to make a bunch of money week one because the marketing effort has been extraordinary. I mean, whoever's the marketing team over at Warner Brothers is doing an amazing job. Week one, this thing is going to clean up at the domestic box office.
Dude, he's suspiciously Ben Shapiro. Like, he's low-key giving this movie a good rating. Like, he is low-key like, okay, so first of all, this movie is a complete piece of shit. But here's all the things I like about it. I wonder if Barbie is the most searched term on Pornhub right now. You know it is, DJ. Come on, we're a bunch of goddamn derelicts, okay? This is a world filled with derelicts.
My prediction is going to just absolutely fall off a cliff after that. The repeat business on this movie is going to be non-existent because it was written by two people who are so smug and self-satisfied, in Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, that they have no audience. I mean, like, who thought it's a great idea? Let's bring on the people who wrote late.
For those of you who don't know, Mr. Ben Shapiro is a failed screenwriter or actor. I think he's a failed screenwriter. This makes sense. He's very upset. He is very envious. He's very angry that he couldn't make it in that world and Barbie could.
Lady Bird and Marriage Story to make a movie about a plastic doll that is generally played with by 5 to 9-year-old young girls. So the basic idea of the film, they really have no basic idea of the film. They don't know whether they hate Barbie or that we're supposed to kind of like Barbie. It seems they kind of despise Barbie as a fascist emblem, as we'll get to. The basic sort of premise of the film, politically speaking, is that men and women are on two sides of the divide and they hate each other. And literally the only way you can have a happy world is if the women ignore the men and the men ignore the women. That seems to be the final outcome of this film. I was trying to separate this into problems with plot and problems with character.
Dude, Ben Shapiro is going to make me watch the Barbie movie just to see if he's right. Jesus Christ. He's actually influencing me to want to watch the movie. Oh my God, Ben Shapiro. You're helping make money for the movie and you're making me watch the Barbie movie. You are an evil, evil little man.
And problems with the politics of the film, but they're all intertwined because the thing is just a mess. It doesn't make any sense. Plot-wise, it makes no sense. Character-wise, it makes no sense. So let's just go through it from the beginning. There's going to be lots of spoilers, but believe you me, I'm about to save you so much time because this movie is 2 hours. It feels like it is longer than the Wagnerian ring cycle. It does not end. Every scene is at least...
Okay, I don't speak nerd, bro. What the fuck did he just say? What kind of cycle? Somebody help me out with that one.
2 minutes too long. Every single scene, every beat is 2 minutes too long. It is a bad film. Put aside the politics. Like, really, I was sitting there with a bunch of my producers. I'm a little bit more political than my producers. My producers were watching this, putting the politics aside. It is a bad...
There's absolutely no way that people that work for the Daily Wire are not political. Like, I sincerely doubt that.
Movie. So why is it getting 91% on Rotten Tomatoes? Because the way that it works for the reviewers is if you have the right politics, and those politics are sufficiently slyly inserted, then it will get a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, even if the thing is just dreck. And I mean, boy, is this dreck. This is a Death Star-sized piece of dreck. It is like, that's no moon. That's a dreck station. That this movie. Okay, so let's jump into it. I have like pages and pages of notes on this horrific piece of I mean, my goodness. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning.
Just imagine Ben Shapiro furiously writing on his notepad while watching the fucking Barbie movie, making everybody around him feel like fucking self-conscious. God, he's such a weirdo.
So it's from the beginning, you know what this movie is going to be, and it's going to be a very cynical take on what Barbie is, which is so weird. I don't know why Mattel would turn over its IP to filmmakers who clearly hate the IP. It's as though you were going to make Toy Story, except that toys are all evil. They're all bad, and you're supposed to hate them, and you should burn them. Because that's kind of the message of the film, is that the Barbies are bad for the world. Okay, so it begins by trying to uphold the original vision of Barbie. What was the original magical vision of Barbie? We have Helen Mirren here to tell us, in the form of a narrator apparently played by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's speaking from heaven. And we get a 2001 A Space Odyssey flashback. Which, again, who's the audience for this? Right? The reference points in this film, it references variously Marcel Proust. It references Robert Evans and the cinematography of The Godfather. It references 2001 A Space Odyssey.
My guy, I think you're looking like way too... Once again, he's looking at it from the point of view of like a fucking scriptwriter. He's like, here's all these things that are just bad cinematically about this movie. Like, why would anybody do anything in this manner? Oh my God, like people are like, yeah, and he might even be right, but Jesus Christ, I don't think anybody else has looked this deeply into the Barbie movie, Ben. I think you might be taking it a little more seriously than the rest of the people that are watching it.
This is a movie made for moms and their 7-year-old girls. Well, folks, wasting 2 hours of my precious time, 2 hours I will never get back, 2 hours where on my deathbed I will wish that I had not spent that time doing, makes me viscerally angry. But I'm going to talk to you about something that makes me much happier, and that is our trusted privacy partner and premier sponsor of the show, Express. Okay, so it starts with Helen Mirren explaining that back in the day, girls would only play with dolls that looked like babies. And then she says that this could be fun, at least for a while anyway. Ask your mother, because your mother actually hates you and doesn't like being a mom, you see. So if you ask your mom, she wants to play at not being a mom sometime. Okay, so the basic...
What? Like, how did he get that from that? Oh my God. Like, that's where he went with that? Is that, like, what she's saying... I think the point of it is that you don't always have to play with dolls because, yeah, if all you ever had to do when you were a kid was play with dolls, don't act like you weren't bored when you were a kid, Ben Shapiro. We used to go outside and throw rocks at shit, bro. Like, that's how bored we were. This is why we got in trouble. Well, me specifically, this is why I got in trouble. Yeah, like, come on, man, that's not what it's not. She hates herself and she hates you.
The premise is Barbie is supposed to be the independent woman who liberates all womanhood. But she fails. And she fails for two reasons. One, she's actually a tool of the patriarchal capitalist system. And two, the real world has rejected the message of Barbie, which is that women should run everything. Okay, so this is all not implicit. This is explicitly said. At the beginning, the monologue, you have Helen Mirren saying, because Barbie can be anything, women can be anything. At least that's what the Barbies think. See, in the real world, women can't be anything. And that's one of the messages.
Okay, Ben, buddy, let's just dissect something you said there. That the movie explicitly says that women should rule the world and be in charge of everything. That is not explicitly said. Ben Shapiro is a very intelligent person. There's no fucking way he thinks it was explicitly said. This is clickbait.
Of the film. In the real world, men run pretty much everything, which is weird.
Ben, that's actually true. Ben, you know that. You actually, like, lobby for that, Ben. Like, you're 100% the type of dude that's like, dude should be in charge of shit. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Greenlit this piece of shit. I mean, Greta Gerwig is a lady. She's making a good living off of this. Margot Robbie is playing the lead. In fact, the entire cast, aside from basically...
Okay, and yeah, how many producers are women and how many are men? How many actors are men? How many actors are women? How many fucking executives are men? How many are women? Like, Dude, the workforce is overloaded in higher positions with men. We all understand that, and we all agree with that. He would probably agree with that. This is statistically true. This isn't some kind of like crazy fucking idea that people are, some conspiracy theory.
Ryan Gosling is women. So it seems like women are doing okay. But again, put aside the meta logic of it. I'm going to go through like a lot of beats here. So it starts off with the...
How many women characters are in Oppenheimer? How many men characters are in Oppenheimer? How many women characters are in Mortal Kombat? How many men? Like, dude, that's fucking dumb. You're using Barbie, a movie that's literally about women, to point out that women are doing fine because there's a bunch of women in it. That's fucking dumb.
The idea that mommy dolls are bad and insufficient. But then they criticize Mattel for discontinuing a mommy doll named Midge. Right? Midge is the pregnant doll and it was discontinued. They're like, that's bad. But hold on, you just said that dolls about motherhood are bad, but then this one, don't look for any sort of logical coherence. What? There is a Citizens United reference. They say all of the members of the Barbie Supreme Court are women. And then they are speaking out about Citizens United, that corporations are not people. It's literally a Citizens United reference. Who is the audience for this? Who is the 7-year-old girl who's like, yes, I too have a very informed perspective on the Citizens United decision. And then they say that logic and feeling at the same time, it doesn't diminish us. It proves that we are more than, right? It's all propagandistic. And then it sets up the dichotomy. The dichotomy is that men and women are in complete and utter contradistinction in terms of their roles.
Holy
so
fuck.
Women only exist if they are completely free of men, and men only exist if they are completely free of women. And the problem is set up for Ken, is that Ken is dependent on Barbie, right? Because Ken is kind of secondary. And we also set up at the very beginning that Barbie doesn't like Ken. She finds Ken annoying.
Okay, I'm going to just point this out real quick. Does Ben Shapiro know that it's called Barbie? Does he know that this is a movie about Barbie? Does he know that the toy itself was literally about Barbie? Yes, Ken is a secondary character in every part of this equation. You didn't like the fucking Ben Shapiros of the world don't like their sons playing with dolls. That's why Barbie was the main theme. That's why Ken is a secondary theme, because girls are going to, in some way, see a Barbie doll that's a female and feel better about playing with that than the boy doll. That's what appeals to them. Ken is secondary. This isn't some kind of like, they're fucking over the patriarchy. This is a movie that is literally for girls, about girls, with girls.
She finds Ken ridiculous, which, again, is sort of against the concept of Ken and Barbie.
No, it's not.
But the basic idea is that Barbie is an independent...
Have you ever seen Ken represented in any like movie, any show, in any way as being some kind of like manly leader? Like, no, he's always this like blonde, like semi-surfer dude that's kind of ditzy.
Woman, and Ken is completely superfluous. We then go to the beach, and there's a scene on the beach where the Kens are supposed to be the lifeguards, and the ladies are playing on the beach, and we get a series of gay masturbation jokes. Again, there's an audience for children. They're talking about beaching each other off, right? There's
that is kind of weird.
a line where Ken says to another one of the Kens, "I'm going to beat you off." Get it? Get it? You get it? Because it's like beat you off, but beach you off, and then they repeat that no less than 4 or 5 times in the span of 45 seconds.
If I wasn't severely injured, I would beat you off right now, Ken. I'll beach off with you any day, Ken.
Anyone who wants to beach him off has to beach me off first.
Okay, obviously some of the jokes are for adults. So first of all, he's implying that these kids will never get these references to these old movies and the way the cinema is being done and blah, 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 blah. So in his first statement, he's saying there's no way kids could possibly understand this movie. And then he goes to this and he's like, oh, here's something that adults talk about. That's probably a joke for adults. Obviously, the kids know exactly what they're talking about, and they get it because they know that these people are clearly saying this. It's like, no, some things for adults, some things are for kids. It's just like any fucking kids movie that's made. Like, all the Disney movies have jokes that are for adults in them. All the Pixar movies have jokes that are for adults in them. There are plenty of jokes in all of these movies that are specifically for adults.
We'll beach both of you off at the same time.
Beach both of us off?
Nobody's gonna beach anyone off.
Bazinga.
Because it's just such a great gay masturbation joke.
Fun fact, out of the Fortune 500 CEOs, 52 are women. The CEOs are named Mike and Tom, outnumber the female. James, that is a incredible statistic. What's wrong with us? Yeah, dude, SpongeBob, DJ, my dad used to sit by himself and watch SpongeBob, okay? Like, Ben Shapiro didn't have a childhood, did he? This is what's going on right now. Ben Shapiro didn't have a childhood. Wow, it's totally new for adult jokes to be in kids' movies. Yeah, exactly, Bucket. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, these people live under a rock. They're the no fun party. Conservatives have became the no fun party. No one can have fun anymore. No, because if you do, I will criticize everything you do.
You got to go for it. I mean, what else will the 7-year-old girls in the audience think if you don't go for the gay masturbation joke on the beach? Clearly.
Okay.
We get black female.
Okay, and dude, obviously also Ben Shapiro has never joked around with his buddies because it's not a gay masturbation joke just because two dudes are saying some dumb shit to each other. Two dudes saying dumb shit to each other doesn't specifically make them gay. It means that they're secure in their heterosexuality and capable of making jokes like that without being like, oh my God, he might try to actually do it.
President Barbie, because this is, of course, the greatest of all possible worlds. So Kamala Harris, the Barbie version, is the president of the United States. And then we get the break,
how dare
right? Then we
they.
get the actual plot point. Plot point number 1. Barbie has irrepressible thoughts of death. So again, at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, isn't this a kid's movie? Isn't this supposed to be made for 7-year-old girls? Nope. It's about existential angst over mortality. That's what this film is about. Now, again,
is Ben Shapiro about to cry? Did he just choke up a little bit? Holy shit, I think he just choked up a little bit. He did. He got his ass kicked all the time. Exactly, LB. He's like, I'm finally getting back at these motherfuckers. I have a platform. I have so many YouTube subscribers. Oh my God.
Relates through all of this is just more and more and more politics, right? One of the Barbies is a trans Barbie, and this is treated totally normally.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is why we're mad. All right, now we know. Okay, Ben. One of the Barbies is named Trans Barbie. Oh, God, that's horrific. Oh, it's terrible. Boy, how are the kids? They're just not going to grow up right now. They're all going to be trans now.
As though this is a female Barbie with a voice, again, deeper than my own. So Barbie starts to have these
Ben, everybody's voice is deeper than yours. I think my voice is deeper than yours, and I have a high voice.
irrepressible thoughts of death. And this comes along with physical symptoms, like, for example, her feet flatten out. Again, this is one of the few cute jokes in the movie, is that Barbie walks around, and just like a normal Barbie doll, when you take off the shoes, the feet are...
He likes it. He doesn't want to admit that he likes it. He's just like, okay, and once again, there was one funny joke here, okay? It was pretty
shaped
good.
like the shoe, like the high heel. But now she's turning into like a real world person, and so her feet collapse, right?
And didn't he, at the beginning of this fucking video, didn't he get mad that they made jokes about that? Didn't he say at the beginning of the video, like, the no water coming out of the shower was a stupid joke, and the no drinking out of the glass, or no water coming out of the glass is a stupid joke, but then he says this one's a good joke? The consistency is not his strong point. SpongeBob is for adult stoners. Exactly, James. Exactly. This is Cadence Morning. Yeah, it's this right here. Okay, all right. And it is.
And so she goes to see.
I actually once was editing some of my videos, and I was doing it at 1.5 speed. And dude, I sound just like Ben Shapiro if you speed me up to 1.5 speed. Don't do that. Don't do that. But it's true.
Weird Barbie. So Weird Barbie is a Barbie that has been played with too hard and has all the knowledge, not only about Barbie land, but also about the real world. And apparently there's a connection between the people playing with the Barbies and the Barbies. So if the people playing with the Barbies are sad, then the Barbies also get sad. Weird that this has only happened to Barbie, because it turns out that lots of people are sad and have played with Barbies for a very long time. But that's the plot point. Fine. And again, the concept of like a Barbie that was played with too hard is very funny, because everybody has seen that before. And they somehow blow this. Somehow they make this into a not funny thing.
What?
So Weird Barbie is ugly, and she has bad makeup and all the rest of it. And she informs Barbie she has to go to the real world, and she has to find the person who is playing with her, and she has to make that person feel better, because that will heal the problem that she's having in Barbie land. Okay, so we have our...
Oh my God, it sounds like a kid's movie. No fucking way.
plot point, right? We have the thing that's going to launch us off into the rest of the movie. and then it's just a complete mess from here on in. At least to this point, it's kind of dumb but coherent. From here on in, it makes no sense at all. Again, Kate McKinnon sets up the dichotomy that pretty much the makers of the film hate Barbie by suggesting that you can live in Fantasyland with Barbie and you can take the Barbie shoe, or you can take Birkenstocks, right? You can become like a Portland lesbian and you can learn about reality. That's the.
Holy shit, Ben Shapiro. You know, dude, if he was just like funny, if he would just make these as like jokes and not as like he's mad, it like half this shit would actually be funny for him to say. But like his anger and his angst like comes across so hard, and yeah, the cadence, of course. But it comes across so hard. Like if you would have said that Portland lesbian joke and you were like Bill Burr, that shit would have been funny. Dave Chappelle, fucking anybody else. I don't think Jim Gaffigan makes Portland lesbian jokes. Like, it would have been funny, but the way he comes across is just hateful, dude. He just, like, I'm so mad.
That's going to be the choice that you have to make, but not before she makes a joke about Ken and wanting to see the nude blob he is packing under those pants.
That's somebody said that?
Perfect for 8-year-old girls, ladies. Mothers, just be warned. Ken and Barbie head off to the real world to try to find the person who is playing with Barbie. And
what's up, fatty? Dude, you came just in time, buddy. You came just in time, big guy. Yeah, I heard Matt Getz loves him some Barbie, dude. Oh, dude. Right? A wholesome lesbian joke from Jim Gaffigan? 100%.
And immediately upon arriving in the real world, Barbie is hit with an overwhelming tsunami of sexism. Like right away, boom. She walks in, and a bunch of men just leer at her and say, "Give us a smile, Blondie," which is something that no one under the age of 70 has said to a woman in the recent past. Give us a smile, Blondie.
Are you a fucking moron? I work in retail. I have literally heard somebody this year say to one of the girls that works at my store that she needs to smile. Ben Shapiro, he doesn't live in the real world. He doesn't.
Seriously? We get Barbie explaining that all of the men who are leering at her and gazing at her, they have an undertone of violence. She's threatened. She's physically threatened because this is the real world. The real world is not like Barbie Land. In the real world, all women are victims. They are deep and abiding victims of the system. As we'll learn by the use of the word patriarchy no less than 10 times in this film. She gets arrested like twice for various crimes. Even the police officers are rabid, raging sexists. The police officers are hitting on Barbie. They're making observations about her appearance. Ken, meanwhile...
Okay, like, look, I have police officers in my family, and I love police officers. But if you think that police officers, like, all of them are, like, these, like, angels of humanity that are, like, just beautiful, wonderful people that should be protected and defended at all costs, there's definitely some fucked up people in our police force, okay? 100% there is. And if you think that there isn't a lot of misogyny in the police force, you don't know anything about the police force.
I was getting super happy because Ken, who's been sort of an underling in Barbie Land, now he's realizing he's part of the patriarchy, and the patriarchy is awesome. Ken is loving the patriarchy. Now, you might imagine at this point that the way the film is going to go is that Ken and Barbie are going to have to some sort of agreement about seeing each other as equal human beings. You might imagine that's where it's going. Wrong. That's not where the film is going to go. You might have thought that what you were going to get was Ken gets treated with respect as a person, and Barbie gets treated with respect as a person, and that's a better... Nope, wrong. In the end, not to skip ahead, Barbie Land just gets restored, and the men are still subservient. That's the best. That's the best version of the world.
My guy, you literally started this video by talking about who the target audience was. And you're a dude that is just like mad that dudes aren't getting enough like props in the movie. Like, I'm the guy who always says it, like, you know, like women shouldn't want men to be torn down. Women should want to be built up, right? Like, you don't need to tear down men to build up women. Like, I'm 100% on that opinion. But in a Barbie movie, I don't need fucking the men to be like have this like even like ground or some shit like that, or that they get props too. Like, I don't need that. It's not my movie, bro. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to watch the Barbie movie because it wasn't made for me. Imagine that something wasn't made for you.
Okay, so Ken is walking around and he's really enjoying the patriarchy and all of this. And he explains that men rule this world. And he goes to Mattel, and all the members of the board are men. By the way, I'd like to see a corporate breakdown.
I would like to see a corporate breakdown. He is not possibly going to make this argument. Not possibly going to make this argument. No fucking way does he make this argument.
Of the Mattel board. I'll bet I can find it.
Okay, the Mattel board. Okay, thank you. I thought he was going to make the argument that there are more women, as many or more women on boards than men. I'm betting money that if you looked up how many board members were men and how many were women, it would be hugely lopsided for men.
Like the CEO of Mattel for 30 years was a woman. So there's that. They pretend that like Mattel is all run by men. So now I want to know.
No, once again, he's misrepresenting this. They're not saying specifically that Mattel's board is all men. What they're saying is that in life, there's more men on these boards than women. They're representing it. The fact that Mattel made a movie that encourages diversity, the fact that Mattel made a movie or licensed a movie to help empower women to be more, shows that they're already a company that embraces diversity. So if you're going to Google and find out that they have more women than most corporations do, or that they have a lot of women, or they have a CEO that's been a woman and she's been the CEO for 30 years, yeah, that fucking makes sense, you idiot. Because they actually believe that women should be empowered. Empowered. Holy fuck.
Who's on the board? Okay, chairman and CEO is a dude. The board includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It includes 5 women. So it's 6 men and 5 women. Clearly patriarchal domination.
6? Dude, even in your fucking attempt to show that women, dude, oh my God. There's still more men than women. I'm not saying it has to be even. I'm not even saying that there has to be more women than men. But if you're going to make the point that there's, the women are somehow, fucking misrepresented here, or men are misrepresented, I don't think that makes any sense at all. I don't know. Maybe I'm just he's starting to get to me.
Clearly patriarchal domination. Just wanted to look that up just for the sake of, accuracy. Whenever I do these reviews, you're taking the movie too seriously. The movie takes itself too seriously, guys. It pretends to be a comedy, but it's taking itself super seriously. Fine. So it's all men at the top of Mattel, and they realize that Barbie and Ken have escaped Barbie land. And this presents some sort of threat. What kind of threat? Because the writers are shitty. They don't bother explaining. They're just a threat. And Will Ferrell acts all weird and goofy, like Will Ferrell. And he's funny because it's Will Ferrell acting weird and goofy. But he's not funny because it's just Will Ferrell.
How many times has Ben Shapiro admitted that he liked a part of the movie? I'm going, he said a bunch of dumb shit, so I'm going 30-70. But his, this is the biggest, trashiest, most terrible movie of all time is not, it seems sus. Because he seems to have liked a lot more about this movie than his original assessment would make you think.
With no actual plot or dialogue to speak of, just being weird. We'll fill that in later. There's so many places in the script where it's basically the writers just...
Oh, wait. No, a movie with Will Ferrell where it really doesn't have much of a plot line that makes sense. Yeah, that never happens.
They left a gap and they're like, we'll leave a couple asterisks, we'll fill it in later. And then later they got there and they're like, nah, we'll just skip right over it. Fine. So they figured they got to track down Barbie and Ken. Okay, meanwhile, Barbie is trying to track down the girl who's playing with her. And she mistakenly thinks that it is a teenage girl.
DJ, that's the slide, bro. That's the slide that Barbie goes down and into the house, because Barbie houses are pimping, dude. They've got a slide to get you to the second floor. I thought about putting a pole, not a stripper pole, but a pole, because my house is up there and I'm in the sub-basement. I was thinking about putting a pole, like a fireman's pole, because I'm a man, okay, not a stripper pole, down into the basement. So, mildly Barbie-like.
Who is playing with her and who is unhappy. And at this point, she receives a lecture from the teenage girl about how Barbie has ruined the world and actually is fascist. How Barbie is a sexualized capitalistic emblem. How Barbie has...
Okay, Barbie was sexualized. Barbie has, perfect fucking proportions. Barbie's a blonde white woman, okay? Yeah, she was sexualized. Once again, you don't have to, act like these things aren't true to still like stuff. You can be hey, we've gotten better since then, but yeah, that when she was created, 100% she was sexualized. Yes, you can agree with that, and it doesn't make your position any weaker.
has created unattainable feminine ideals. How Barbie is ruining the planet with rampant consumerism. You get like this full lecture right in the middle of the film. It's truly awful. It's truly awful. She's called a fascist. By the way, it only sets up the only good line of the film. Truly, in my opinion, there's one good line in the film. And that is where Barbie is trying to contemplate whether she's a fascist or not. And she says, I don't control the railways or the flow of commerce. Now, there's...
I like how he keeps pointing out. He's like, I hate this movie. I hate this movie. Okay, here's this one part that I really liked. Okay, this was the one part that I'm going to talk about 100 times through this video. This video says 26 minutes ago.
There's only one problem with that line, as with the entire movie. There is no character consistency. Barbie is supposed to be an idiot bubblehead piece of plastic from Barbie Land. How does she know what a fascist is? How does she know about the...
It's a joke, Ben. It's a joke. Where's that fucking rapper? What was it? Not Lil Wayne. Fucking Little Somebody. It's a joke. We need that gif right now.
Flow of commerce. Like, again, just in terms of character consistency, like characters who actually are the characters, makes no sense whatsoever. So, meanwhile, Ken is wandering around, enjoying the patriarchy more and more and more. And he keeps asking men about the patriarchy. And at one point, he asks a dude about the patriarchy. And the guy says, well, that's not really the way that it works here anymore. He says, really? He says, no, it still works that way. We just hide it really well. Again, you can't even present the
Dude, Ben feels called out right there. Ben feels so called out. Dude, his feelings got hurt. He's like, we don't try to hide it. We do that shit in front of people. Dude, he knows that he's part of it, dude. He knows he's part of it. Can you use your 2-for-1 coupon, Fatty? Only if you get on the poll too, buddy. Fatty, if you come get on the poll, bro, we'll have an Angry Ginger Uncle Fatty night. Aw, dude, it's gonna be a lot of whiskey.
mild other side of the film. And this sort of nonsense continues. The first third of the film is about how Mattel is kind of bad for creating this fancy land. Second third of the film is about the real world evils of the patriarchy. Oh, the patriarchy. Oh, the patriarchy. Culminating in an idiotic line where one of the low-level members of Mattel is with the board and Barbie is looking for a woman at the board. And the low-level man says, I'm a man with no power. Does that make me a woman? No, you can't parallel park. That's what makes you a woman. Okay? And in any case,
wow.
We get...
Holy shit. Ben Shapiro is an angry little man. Holy fuck. What is it like living with Ben Shapiro? Good God.
Get here a few obscure jokes about Proust Barbie, because again, Noah Baumbach has to show that he wrote some of the script. He made a reference to Proust. Doesn't that make him clever? Ooh.
He is so mad. Fuck. I don't know if I'm watching him in a shitty video, and I'm not that mad. Fuck. This is like anger inception right now. This is the worst book report ever. Nathan. Oh my God.
Next, he will make a reference, I would assume, to Victor Hugo. Wow. Proust. Woo. Idiots who think they're smart. It's total. Okay, then Barbie escapes the Mattel building. They were going to package her up and they were going to send her back to Barbie Land. And she instead runs and she escapes the Mattel building. Fuck. And she hooks up with America Ferrera. So America Ferrera is the actual one who's playing with Barbie as a youth. And it's her daughter who Barbie had originally...
Okay, first of all, that's a fucking cool-ass name. Is there really a person named America Ferrera? That's probably a fake name, though, right? Like, that's a pseudonym or something like that. If her parents named her that, that's a badass name.
Approached. Twist! Hey, and she decides that in order to escape the Mattel executives, she's going to have to bring both of them back to Barbie Land. Why does she bring both of them back to Barbie Land? No one knows. There's no actual... There's no explanation as to why she's supposed to bring both of them back to Barbie Land. Supposedly, it's because she needs to escape back to Barbie Land, but she could do that without the two of them. But she decides she's going to bring them back. So she brings them back to Barbie Land.
Dude, Ben Shapiro is taking this movie so seriously. I want to see him review Toy Story. I think this could be a thing. I think they should have Ben Shapiro just actually fucking review movies. Specifically movies that were supposed to be funny or enjoyable, and just watch him just get intensely serious and just tear into movies that were supposed to be funny, but talk about them like this has no plot.
Meanwhile, the Mattel executives are chasing her.
Ben ruins everything. LB, dude. I don't want to like in any way become like involved in anything Ben Shapiro's doing, but I think I would do this. I think like we should contact Ben Shapiro. I don't think Ben Shapiro is going to talk to me, but we should contact him and pitch him Ben ruins everything. That is a money maker if I have ever heard of one.
Now, question: why are they chasing her? They achieved their goal. Barbie's back in Barbie Land. Why are they still chasing her? No one knows. It doesn't make any sense. They literally say there will be consequences you can't even imagine, and then they're like, "What consequences?" And they're like, fill in the blank. And some dude says something about a podcast with 2 trees. You're like, that's the laziest shitty writing. God bless it. Okay. Anyway, so Ken, in the meantime, he's already headed. While she was, futzing around over at Mattel, Ken is already headed back to to Barbie Land, where he has immediately established.
Dude, Ryan Gosling's kind of ripped. He's looking kind of ripped. Is Ryan Gosling always that ripped? Only thing I ever saw Ryan Gosling in was Remember the Titans.
The patriarchy. So just to point out here, the point of the film is that the matriarchy is amazing. Women are amazing at everything. Ken walks.
Okay, first of all, I love women. Okay, Ben, I know that you're not a fan, but I love women. Okay, and this is what I would say in the defense of the matriarchy is there hasn't been a matriarchy. There's only been a patriarchy. What if we just I don't know? What if we just let them try for a while? What if we just step the fuck back? Because we're not doing very well. If you have seen the state, in fact, I know you've seen the state of America because you bitch and complain about it all the time. Why don't you just let some women try this shit? Because apparently we're not doing a very good job. If all you can do is cry and complain and whine like a little bitch. That's what I think about it.
And within 2 seconds, he has taken over all of Barbie Land. And he has turned it into the Kendom. Within 2 seconds. So apparently the women are so unbelievably competent and brilliant and great at everything over in Barbie Land that an idiot man walks in and takes over the whole place inside of 2 seconds. Fine. So he takes over the entire place. We later learn that's because the women, they didn't know what was coming. We later learned they didn't have immunity.
Dude, it's Barbie Land. What the fuck are you talking about? I think the point... yeah, never mind.
And the way that they get immunity is by learning to hate the men. That's the way that they have to learn to hate the men. Okay, so Ken decides he's going to go.
Dude, Fatty, when we do the strip thing, we got to record it on our laptop because that's where the big money is. You got to have a really good laptop. Like my laptops are kind of boring. Me and you, bro. Turn my mic up a bit. Oh, where am I at out here? Doot. Audio input capture. There we go. Is that better?
Go back, and he's going to establish his patriarchal system. We only learn this when Barbie heads back with America Ferrera and Random Daughter. And Ken immediately starts acting like the jerks in the patriarchy, right? He calls her baby. Oh, no. He calls her baby. The greatest of all insults. He calls her baby. And then America Ferrera is trying to...
He's like so mad. I just can't get over how angry he is about like the dumbest little shit. He calls her baby. Like this, that's like something Ben Shapiro calls his wife. And so it just like it hurts his feelings so much. Imagine that people make jokes about the shit that you do. Imagine that. He was bullied. 100% Ben Shapiro was bullied when he was a kid. And these are the same fucking people that are like, so what, you were bullied when you're a kid, get over it. This is what kids that get bullied turn into, just so you guys know, okay?
To explain to Barbie what exactly is going on. And she's like, it's just like the indigenous people and smallpox. They had no immunity. Howard Zinn wrote the script. So the ladies in Barbie Land had no immunity to the magic of the patriarchy, the magic. The women were seduced into... So just to point out here, the actual argument the movie is making is that if women enjoy men, it's because they have been brainwashed by the patriarchy. They make this message explicit in just a few minutes in the film. And when I say a few minutes...
Okay, but Ben, buddy, little bro. Is that not exactly what has been happening up until like the year like 2013? This is kind of like when people talk about slavery, like that was like 2,000 years ago. So long ago. Like it's like 250 years ago. Not even 200. I mean, fucking like 200. Shit. The civil rights movement was in the 1960s. Like, what the fuck do you mean it was a long time ago? Like this idea, like, oh, like don't women have equal rights now? We let them vote. Okay? They can have bank accounts now. Like, that doesn't, like, erase history. And it also definitely doesn't erase, like, the misogyny that's left over from that. We're getting better, and I love that about America. I think it's amazing that America is getting better. I think that we're becoming more diverse. I think we're becoming more accepting. I think that the things in our past are having less of an impact every fucking day because certain people are out there making an attempt to try to make the world a better place for all people, not just for you. Not just being selfish pieces of shit that only want things better for them. Like, they want it for better for everybody. Like, that's why it can be a theme in a movie about women empowerment for preteen girls. Yeah. It's still acceptable.
I mean several years, because this film took years off my life. It is long, it is boring, and it's terrible. Okay, so the Kens are about to perform... None of this makes any damn sense. Okay, the Kens are about to have a vote to change the Constitution. Why? Ken literally just seized power. He's a fascist. What the f*** is he gonna vote for? Why are they voting? Like, he seized power. Also, what is the breakdown demographically of the Kens and the Barbies? Are there as many Kens as Barbies? Because why would they hold a vote? The Kens appear to be in a minority in Barbie land. There are a lot more Barbies than Kens. So if that's the case...
I think Ben's missing the point. I fear that Ben's missing the point.
Why even do the democratic vote thing? Why not just seize the power? Because then you wouldn't have the rest of the dumb plot of this stupid film.
In the corner.
So they decide they're going to hold the vote. And not only are they going to hold the vote, they're going to be very fair about it. They're going to hold it in 48 hours. They're going to hold it in a couple of days to make sure that the Barbies have time to actually form a counter plan. Why would they do that? No reason. Asterisk. We'll fill it in later. Okay, so they decide they're going to hold this dumb...
Okay, for a man that complains about a lack of plot, that's literally the plot. Oh.
Dumbass vote. And the Barbies learn about this, and Barbie is very depressed because Barbie realizes that all the other Barbies have been taken in by the patriarchy, and this is extremely bad. Now, here's one place where you have a serious continuity error in the film. So, Margot Robbie, who plays Barbie at the beginning, half the time she plays Barbie is kind of stiff like a doll, and half the time she plays Barbie is just kind of normal. And so now she plays it super stiff like a doll. She sits down, in kind of 90-degree position like a Barbie.
Let me guess, Ben. When she's in Barbie world, she plays stiff like a doll. And when she's in the real world, she plays like a normal human being or like a real person. That's my best guess.
And she keels over in the 90-degree position. And it would be funny, except she hasn't been doing it the whole film. Again, the level of inconsistency and bad filmmaking here is just off the chart. They needed somebody.
Bad filmmaking? It's the fucking Barbie movie! God damn it. I'm gonna fucking have an aneurysm, dude.
To actually sit down with them and be an adult in the room, and no one was there. So, at this point, America Ferrera and daughter decide they've given up on Barbie because Barbie won't fight for herself. And so they take off. And Michael Cera, for no reason, is in this film. And he's in the back of the car, and we don't...
What are you talking about? Michael Cera's in the movie. Dude, Michael Cera fits in a Barbie movie so 100%. You just spoiled that for me, and now I'm actually kind of upset about that. Oh, God, that would have been such an amazing surprise. Michael Cera is like the perfect actor for a fucking Barbie movie.
We don't know why.
Yeah, I'm confused about that.
And it serves no purpose other than to have a random fight scene. And also so that they can make a Trump building the wall reference. Right? Apparently the Kens are going to build a wall to keep people from getting in or getting out. Now, here's the weird part. No one has ever entered or exited Barbie land before. Why are you building a wall? What is the necessity for a wall? No one explains. It's just...
Wait. What do you mean that nobody's ever entered or exited? Didn't we just have how many fucking minutes? 22 minutes of this guy talking about the movie where people entered and exited Barbie land multiple times? What the fuck? I am taking crazy pills.
Just a dumb Trump reference so that everybody who is friends with Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig can laugh and nod like the morons they are.
Oh, you mean half the fucking country that voted for Biden that thinks building a wall is a dumb fucking idea? Yeah, you think maybe, 70 million people is enough people to validate making a joke? I don't fucking know. I'm going to guess so.
And so, the daughter and the mom, they decide, no, we have to go back and we have to save Barbie land. They're going to save Barbie land. And who do they go to? They go to wise, weird lesbian Barbie. They go back to Kate McKinnon and they ask her about this. and they bring Barbie with them, and they're going to try to figure out a strategy. How do they stop the Kens from winning the vote? Now, you might say to yourself, wait, aren't the women majority? Do they not have agency, the women? They have no agency, apparently. So apparently the women have no agency, and they are a majority, and yet they have to be deprogrammed. They're going to be...
Ben Shapiro's mad that the Barbies don't understand how the popular vote works. What if Barbie Land works off of an electoral college? What if Barbies on the West Coast are really conservative, and Barbies in the Bible Belt are like super religious? I mean, we could really get deep in Barbie politics if we have to. What if 60% of the female Barbies are watching the Daily Wire?
Deprogrammed by Weird Barbie and her crazy cadre of feminist heroes.
I love you guys.
And this is when we start getting into the real. You think it's propagandistic so far? Oh man, wait. Here is where we get into like the real meat of it. Okay, so we end up with Barbie complaining. She's complaining to Weird Barbie. And she says, oh my God, they've brainwashed all the other Barbies. They've brainwashed all the other Barbies. She says, quote, either you're brainwashed or you're weird and ugly. There is no in between. And Weird Barbie says, tell me about it. And this is the perspective.
Yeah. Okay, once again, I think he's missing the point about what she's saying there. She's saying either you're allowed to be a woman and exist if you believe what the fucking dudes are telling you that you're supposed to be, or you're weird and ugly. It's from a male's point of view. And don't act like you didn't grow up with a bunch of dudes, specifically young dudes. I hope that as you got older and older, these ideas have found a new home somewhere else. But specifically with young men, that is an ideology. That is exactly what young men think. I don't know about young men nowadays. I don't speak for them, and I hope that they're better than that. But I do know people my age group and Ben's age group grew up with a bunch of men that specifically believed exactly what she just said. If a girl didn't pay attention to you, if she didn't take your flirtations the right way, she was weird, she was ugly, you didn't like her anyways. Like, that is 100% what happened. Stop denying that shit happened, man. And hey, I'll even give him this. I hope that in Ben Shapiro's life, he never encountered that. I do. I hope that, because that means that it's less likely than I thought. But I can tell you this, where I grew up, the guys I grew up with, even myself included, those were mentalities that were had by young men. And hopefully they've grown up to be better men. Better men than Ben Shapiro.
Of the film. Either you're a third wave feminist kook who hates men, truly hates men, or you're brainwashed.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
There's no in between. There's no actual relationship between men and women. There can't be any sort of fulfilling relationship between men and women. There are no decent males in the entire film. All the men are garbage. The only man who even appears mildly,
they're Ken dolls. Ben, they're Ken dolls.
Is America Ferrer's husband, who's just kind of a joke. He's there for literal...
Oh, you mean like the real human man? The actual human man was not like a Ken doll? Holy shit, Ben, I think you're figuring it out.
Early 10 seconds in the film making jokes about how he can't speak Spanish. That's his whole role in the film. Every other man is a piece of shit in the film. Everyone. And so, this is the perspective of the film when you come right down to it. Either you are brainwashed or you are weird and ugly. And Barbie's like, yeah, that's what Barbie says. I mean, the only decent male is Ellen, who apparently wants to wear pink and probably is supposed to be gay.
That's actually kind of amazing, to be honest. I think that's the reason I'd go see the movie.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be pretty clear from the film, although really the take of the film is that all the Kens are gay. That's really the take of the film, is that it's all...
James, it's like when Kid Rock shot up the Bud Light, dude. He burnt his Barbies in protest. Ben Shapiro went right in and he was like, I'm sorry I have to do this to you. You've been with me for 40 years. And then he burnt that shit. Is Kid Rock gonna shoot up a bunch of Barbie dolls? Dude, I can't wait for that video.
Homoerotic kind of stuff.
Let's beach off.
Anyone who wants to beach him off has to beach me off first.
I will beach both of you off at the same time.
And in any case, the filmmakers are so insecure with even their own script that they then have the narrator jet in to say, Margot Robbie might not be the best person to make this point, right? Because Barbie's saying, I don't feel beautiful anymore. And they're like, Margot Robbie. They literally jet in to say, Margot Robbie might not be the best person to make this point. Then maybe you shouldn't have written the point. Then maybe you shouldn't write it like that. Maybe you should not be a writer. Maybe you could do that. Okay, no. Okay, this is when we get the full bore thesis of the film. And guess what, guys? The thesis of the film.
LB, I'm already a bald dude. People already think bad things about me. There's no fucking way I'm going to a kids movie by myself looking like this. Nah, dog. Alright. I'm gonna be like pushing my kid in front of me, like you have to go first. Like she's gonna be running fullback, okay? Like a power I formation. My daughter in front, possibly my wife even. Like I might even like be going like fullback, running back, like a wide receiver reverse. I'm gonna have like 4 blockers. They're not gonna see me. I'm gonna sneak into the movie and then sneak my ass out too.
Film made by women, made for women, made starring women, funded by a studio that is largely staffed by men. The take of the film is that it is impossible to be a woman in the modern age. Absolutely impossible.
That's not the take. Why does he think that? Well, I know why he thinks that, because he's fucking butthurt. Okay, because Ben Shapiro is so mad. He is such an insufferable human being that he has to be mad about this. You're making the very point of what the movie's making. It's a movie by women, for women, about women, paid for by a bunch of dudes that are going to make a bunch of fucking money off of it. Who's making the real money off of this movie? Is it the women or the men who funded it? You're literally making the point.
Well, and so we get this long speech of...
Dude, Bucket, don't make me beat you off, okay? First of all... All right. My 2 sayings for the rest of the summer is I'm going to beat you off and try that in a small town. You're going to beat me off? Try that in a small town.
Of America Ferrera talking about how it's so difficult to be a woman. They want us to be this way, but not that way. They want us to be thin, but they don't want us to say that we're thin. They want us to earn money, but they don't want us to earn money. They want us to do this, and they don't want us to do that. They want us to answer for men's bad behavior, but they don't want us to offend men. They want us to do this, and they don't want us... Oh my God, it's so difficult to be a woman. So the same tried, truistic bullshit that they've been propagating in every new wave feminist film for the last 45 years in the United States is now essentially telescoped into this one speech from America Ferrera, including a few cutaway shots of Margot Robbie looking up adoringly at America Ferrera as she explains that it's super hard to be a woman. It's so damn difficult to be a woman. You know why? Because of the patriarchy, because of the men. That's the actual story of the film. And then they...
Okay, dude. I guess I need to see the movie to completely disagree. But I having not seen the movie, I'm going to make an assumption that Ben is making a little more of this than is actually what's happening. Like, they're probably trying to make the point that it is hard to be a woman. It is difficult to be a woman. Try being in fucking Saudi Arabia, Ben. Try being a woman that's not allowed to drive a car. This isn't just about America. The patriarchy isn't just about America. And maybe that's where he's fucking up. Maybe I'll give Ben Shapiro a little credit here. Maybe he's just applying this to his own personal life. Maybe Ben treats his wife really well. I don't know. I apparently he doesn't know what a WAP is. So how well could he be treating her? Okay. But does he understand that when you talk about like things like the patriarchy, it's not just talking about America, it's talking about the world? In places like Saudi Arabia, where women are allowed to drive cars, and places like Iran, where women have to literally cover their entire body with a fucking piece of cloth because men can't handle their fucking penises because they can't, oh my God, sin. Like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, do you think women all around the world just fucking everything's good now, bro? Fucking sign it off. Let's get back to what we were doing. Let's play some fucking video games, watch some sports. Like, no, bud, little bro. Like, little guy, my man, that's not how it is. And even in America, yeah, it's still hard to be a woman. It is. Like I said, we didn't snap our fingers and everything's fine now. We didn't snap our fingers and all the poor black people that have came from fucking slavery are now wealthy and they can get any job and no one sees them as being any different than themselves. No, we're working on it. We're working on it. We didn't snap our fucking fingers and now all homosexuals have equal rights and transgender people are seen just to be the same as the rest of us. No. None of that shit is real, man. Like, we're working on it. And that's what you can be proud of, is that we're working on it. But a lot of the world is actually pretty fucking far behind us, and we still got a long fucking way to go. I think you're missing the point, bud.
They make a couple of other dumb references, right? Zack Snyder
ankles
cut.
Are out.
The men, they like the Zack Snyder cut. Wow, that's terrible. Okay, fine. Then they say, you know what we need to do? We need to disabuse all of these Barbies of the patriarchy. How are we going to do this? We need to allow them to live with the cognitive dissonance required to be a woman under the patriarchy. That's a line from Barbie. Now again, they keep doing this. They keep having Barbie drop these extremely literate and well-articulated lines, but she's supposed to be a plastic doll idiot.
Authority should derive from the consent of the governed, not from the threat of force.
It doesn't matter. What is their actual strategy?
Okay, so, like, once again, he's making the opposite point. He just used a Toy Story reference where the Barbie does that. That's the joke, you fucking idiot.
So they have 48 hours to stop this vote, which shouldn't be happening in the first place because it makes no plot sense. Because the men are fascists and the women are victims. But somehow they've been given 48 hours to stop the vote. So what are they going to do to stop this vote? How are they going to do it? Well, they're going to separate the men and the women.
Barbie!
They're going to turn all the Barbies against the Kens. It's so subtle. The symbolism is so subtle. Turn all the women against the men and you will save society. That's the message that you could be shoveling directly into the brain of your 8-year-old girl.
Does Ben seem a little concerned? He's like, what if they do this in real life? I don't think Ben could take many women in a fight, so... Both my sisters definitely could whoop Ben Shapiro's ass. Both my sisters whoop a lot of dudes' asses. Ben Shapiro will get mopped up.
If you so choose this weekend.
Maximum volume.
So, they literally say this: get the Barbies away from their Kens. How are they going to achieve this? Well, they're going to make the men complacent and then take their power. This is how women have achieved power. Now, let me just digress briefly here in how women actually achieved power in Western civilization. The answer is that they lobbied men and men gave it to them. That is the actual answer as to how women achieved power in Western civilization. The amendment to the Constitution that allowed women to vote was passed solely by men because women couldn't vote. It turns out there are a lot of good-hearted men out there who like women and who want women to be able to live.
Yeah, where were those good-hearted men before they were lobbied? Where were those good-hearted men before women protested and marched and fucking fought for their rights? Where were those good-hearted men when women were being oppressed, when fucking women were being beaten in their homes and police officers would show up and say things like, I don't know, you should have just listened to your husband. Maybe you should have had dinner ready for him when he got home. Where were these good-hearted men, supposedly, that gave these women their rights before women stood up for themselves? Where were they? I'm not saying they didn't exist. I'm just saying I have a feeling that women standing up and going, that's fucking enough, I think we're done being fucking shit on, might have had something to do with it. And the fact that he's pointing out that men gave women these rights is the reason that the patriarchy still exists. That is proof that the patriarchy still exists, because little douchebags like Ben Shapiro think men gave women rights. Yet this is also a person that goes to church. This is also a person that believes all men were created equal. I don't know, Ben. I kind of disagree.
Lives that they want. It turns out that many of us are husbands and fathers. Yep. Many of us have daughters. Many of us love the people we're married to. It turns out that that actually describes a huge number of Western men, that we are not your enemies. And yet the entire premise of the movie is that what actually...
You are not their enemy now. Now. And that doesn't mean that every man agrees with you. In fact, I know that there's lots of men out there that watch your show, that watch your channel, that love the Daily Wire, and people like Jordan Peterson. Speaking of abuse, how about Steven Crowder? That watch your show, that believe the exact opposite of what you said. I'll even give Ben Shapiro credit. I'll even say, hey, maybe he does love his wife. Maybe he does love his daughter. I hope so. I fucking hope so. But if you think that all the other men just magically became like non-misogynistic and everybody like loves women now and women are just equal, like I said, you can't fucking snap your fingers and make that happen. It's not how it works. It's progress. And if you don't work at progress, then you deal with what's called the second law of thermodynamics, and that is entropy. Anything left in a state that is not moving forward or progressing will eventually degrade back to its original state. Where were women at 100 years ago? I don't think they want to go back, bud. So I think they're going to keep pushing forward. I think they're going to keep progressing, and I think they're going to keep standing up for themselves, even if that makes you upset.
Happened in the feminist movement is that women seize the power away from the men. I'm sorry to break it to you, ladies. It ain't true. It ain't true. This notion that women vote as a block is not true. Married women vote very much like their husbands, actually. Single women vote more like a block.
He's making his own. He's making the opposite point again. Married women vote like their husbands. There's a lot of reasons that we could say that are good reasons that women do that. But there's also reasons such as fucking dudes being dominant in their relationships and making women feel controlled as to why also. I mean, she fucking said it about being brainwashed. She was making that point that you shit on earlier about being either you better be brainwashed or you're ugly and fat and weird. Okay? Like, do you think that has anything to do with the reason that women feel the need to vote like their husbands?
Block now than they did before. But it turns out that people are individuals, and some women vote one way and some men vote another way. But again, the idea here is very simplistic. Men versus women. Battle royale. And that's what this literally turns into, a battle royale between the women and the men. But really, it's about getting the men to fight each other. They bring all the Barbies one by one. They distract them. They bring the Barbies in one by one. And they unbrainwash them. How do they unbrainwash them? Well, they tell them truths like, any power you have must be masked under a giggle. I have a question. I mean, I work with a lot of women. Do they feel like the power that they have has to be masked under a giggle?
Yeah, actually, that's what women used to do. And I'm sure they still do it. Because as long as it's just a joke, it's just a joke. Haha, don't hit me. Yeah. In fact, many men would get upset because women would make jokes and laugh because they felt emasculated by it. And then they would, beat their wives over that shit because they dared to speak up. I grew up, just so everybody knows why this is a very sensitive subject for me. I grew up watching my mom and my sisters be beaten by multiple men. Multiple men, okay? If Ben here lived a enchanted fairy tale fucking life, good for him, bud. I'm glad for you. Awesome. Not everybody did, big guy. Not everybody did. Some of us saw the worst shit in this world. And I can tell you from my point of view that, yeah, this shit happens, and it happens on the regular. I grew up extremely poor. I grew up watching women that weren't my wife, ouch, that weren't my mom, that weren't my sisters, that were just other women in the neighborhood that got beaten. I fought men for my sisters. I fought grown men for my mom. I watched other kids that were 14 years old fight grown men to defend their mom. Domestic violence is fucking real, you piece of shit. Like, that happens. And, like, being condescending and acting like this is all just overblown and exaggerated just shows that you're completely out of touch and have no idea what the other half lives like.
Was this film written in 1943? Who wrote this film? Well, we know who wrote this film.
By the way, I was not alive in 1943. This all happened to me when I was fucking 10 years old. So 89, mid-90s. Yeah, not 43, big guy.
A feminist writer who gets paid millions of dollars to make horse. One of them says, we have to reject men's advances without damaging their ego. Or theoretically, you could just reject men's advances and damage their ego because what do you care? You have to pretend to be confused about money. Is this a real thing? Like, do women pretend to be confused about money so the men will explain it to them? This is all it's such claptrap. And then my very favorite. Do you want some pants?
Did he say claptrap? Isn't that the robot in Borderlands?
Because that's really what this is about, is women really, really want to wear pants. That demonstrates the power of the patriarchy is that men really don't want women to wear pants, and women really, really want to wear pants.
Love your leg warmers.
Nice ass cut.
And then it's, you know,
Oh, how
all the
dare she
men
make an
being
adult
victimized,
joke.
all the Kens being victimized by these various tactics, up to and including Ryan Gosling hitting on a trans woman, meaning a dude who has a voice deeper than Ryan Gosling's, which is an actual scene in the film, which is just great. Okay, so then, final step. Finally, the women have been disabused. So now they're going to play the ultimate prank. The ultimate prank is that they are going to turn the men against each other. How are they going to turn the men against each other? They're going to turn the men against each other by switching partners. They're going to get together, and Barbie is going to be with Ken, classic Barbie and classic Ken. They're going to be together, but then they're going to move on to the other Kens, and the Kens are going to start fighting each other over the ladies because they're going to switch over. Now, what? Not to put too fine a point on this, but this makes no sense at all. Because guess what would happen if a bunch of beautiful women decided to switch to other men simultaneously? You know what the men would do? They would throw a party. So they turn the men against each other. And
No, they wouldn't. No, good God, man. First of all, it's a fucking Barbie movie. Why am I... he's making me become so serious about this, and I'm trying not to. My man. Little bro. I think Ben Shapiro just should be referred to as little bro. No, dudes wouldn't rejoice if their wives were like, now we're going to go with this dude over here now. And some other like random chick came up and was like, hey, I'm your wife now. I'd be like, actually, I like that one. I would like the one that I like.
And then we get a 20-minute long segment of the Kens fighting each other using various implements ranging from like small bows and arrows with sticky cups at the end to tennis rackets. And that turns into a musical number.
Yeah, because it's a Barbie movie, Ben. Did you think that they're going to like fucking have tanks and fucking airplanes and fucking hand grenades?
What does any of this have to do with the plot? Nothing. Literally nothing. It is just a 15-minute digression because they wanted to insert a crappy musical number with not particularly good dancing. And then what are the women doing?
I'm going to guess it was like ironically bad. Like that's what it's supposed to be because it's a fucking Ken movie. Barbie movie. God damn it, he's getting to me.
During this time, the women are voting. The women are voting. So now we know the Democratic turnout strategy. The Democratic turnout strategy in 2024 is going to be to get all of the Republicans to fight with one another using tennis.
Oh, it's a Democratic strategy. The Barbie was made as a Democratic strategy. Why does everything come back to elections with these guys? Holy fuck.
Rackets. Well, they go and they do the voting, apparently. So they go and they vote. After they vote, they reestablish exactly basically how it was. The matriarchy. The matriarchy is reestablished. And Ken, who is now really sad because he's lost his power, and all he wanted in the first place was just to be treated decently by Barbie. Is he treated decently at the end by Barbie? Of course he isn't. That would be silly. At the very end, he is told that he needs to learn to live without Barbie.
I just don't know who I am without you.
You're Ken.
But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken.
He, who was literally created as a doll to be with Barbie, he needs to learn to be apart from Barbie, and she needs to learn to be apart from him because atomistic isolation and loneliness.
Dude, this part of the movie really, this is the part right here. This is what killed it for him. This is what killed it for him. He was personally invested in Ken. He doesn't want to admit it. He was personally invested in Ken, making it through this movie, and getting the reward for being a good boy. And when it didn't happen, Lil Bro was crushed. He was crushed. I can see, look at his eyes, man. He is so hurt. Dude, Ben Shapiro's going to need therapy after this.
Is the best way to find fulfillment, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be best for Ken if he never sees Barbie again. It'll be better for Barbie if she never sees Ken again.
A woman has told this to Ben Shapiro in his life. I think this is what happened. I think a woman told this to Ben Shapiro in his life, and this just brought it all back. This is like PTSD for Ben Shapiro right now.
Secular humanism is at its finest. We've reached the apotheosis. Men and women don't belong together. They belong very, very much apart. This is all topped off by Issa Rae calling somebody a motherfucker. Again, perfect for your 7-year-old girl who loves Barbie dolls. Just perfect for her. And so...
My kids here are a lot worse than that for me.
We learn that men and women are supposed to be separate. They are not supposed to be together. And that maybe the matriarchy will allow the men not to be on the Supreme Court of Barbie Land, but maybe they can get some lower circuit court judgeships. This is what we learned.
Oh yeah, like in real life, how many women have the Republicans put on the Supreme Court again? How many? Oh fuck, I think it's 0, isn't it? Is it 0? 1? Did they get 1? I think did they get 1 on there? Oh, it's a really far stretch for them to make that joke in the Barbie movie.
Learn. And we learn one day the Kens might have as much power and influence in Barbie world as women have.
Amy Cohen Barrett. That's right. They got 1. Redeemed.
In the real world. Because, of course, women are, again, just absolutely subjugated in the real world. You think that's the end of the movie. Wrong. This thing has more endings than Lord of the Rings. So, ending number 1 is we find out that Ken is going to live apart from Barbie and he's going to find himself in being Ken. Ugh, the utter joy of self-exploration. Next, we get an end.
I want to see Ben Shapiro review Lord of the Rings. I bet he was so butthurt by that.
Ending in which the CEO of Mattel, who's been completely sidelined. You remember the CEO of Mattel? Remember he was supposed to be chasing them into Barbie Land for no apparent reason? So he's now in Barbie Land. We don't know why he's there or what he's there to do, except that we need Will Ferrell in the movie to provide no laughs. He doesn't provide any laughs. So he shows up.
Dude, you work in show business. It's just a shameless attempt at attaching a name to a movie.
His motivation throughout this movie has been completely inconsistent. He started off wanting to put Barbie back in Barbie Land so that they could make money. And then he is told that...
How dare he be inconsistent in this movie that's about Barbies?
At one point that when Kens have taken over Kendom, they will make just as much money. He's like, no, that cannot be. I'm an ideologue on behalf of women. And then he arrives and he is told that America Ferrera wants to make ordinary Barbie, which, by the way, would sell 0. Anyway, that will be profitable. And so now he wants to make ordinary Barbie because he's back to being uber capital.
He just judged a fucking, marketing plan in a made-up movie.
Evil capitalist who's making money off of Barbie because, again, Mattel are the bad guys, but they're also the good guys. But they're kind of the bad guys, but they're mostly the good, but they're a little bad. And so that's ending number 2 at this point. So we have the Barbie Ken ending. We have the CEO of Mattel ending, where he says, we'll make ordinary Barbie, and then girls all over the world will know that ordinariness is fine and okay. Because it's not that girls play with Barbie because they think that she's beautiful and it's aspirational. No, it's bad. Okay, so then we have ending number 3. And you think you're done? Wrong. We're now 2 hours deep into this piece of shit. And we have now dug halfway to China, and we are going to keep digging. So we have ending number 3. Rhea Perlman shows up to lecture us all about the patriarchy again. You haven't heard it enough. We got to beat this sucker into the ground. We are going to take an axe, the blunt end of the axe, and we're just going to beat this thing to death. We're just going to beat it to death. So Rhea Perlman shows up because Barbie, it turns out, she spent too much time in the real world. That was the patriarchy and was terrible. So terrible that she wanted to stop it from happening in Barbie Land. But now she wants to go back there because she actually learned some feelings over in the real world. So she decides that after all, this whole story was just Pinocchio, that she just wants to be a real boy. And in what can only be termed a sort of bait and switch, at the very end of the film, just to please the core audience, which is moms and daughters, they insert a bunch of footage, I kid you not, like home video footage of moms and daughters playing.
Oh,
that's what it is.
horrible.
Like people living their lives in female ways. Because Rhea Perlman is going to show Barbie what it's like to be a human, and then Barbie is going to say that she really wants to be a human just like you, just like you. And so they hit you with the nostalgia play. At the very end, the whole movie, which should have been nostalgia and about moms and daughters, instead, the entire movie is not that. The entire movie is instead about how men are evil and terrible. And also Mattel is evil and terrible. And then at the very end, they shove in this little nostalgia play in the hope that they can buy back the audience at the very end of the film. And Barbie decides that she is going to be a real woman now. Now, when she goes, that's ending number 3.
I've got to cut him off here for 5 seconds. Does he realize that this is a movie that was clearly licensed by Mattel? Like, they don't just make a Barbie movie without Mattel accepting that they're going to make this movie. They're going to make a bunch of money off it. He keeps talking about how they're villainizing Mattel. I think he's missing the point of why the Mattel board is being used in this movie. This is why he failed as a scriptwriter. This is why he couldn't make it.
There's still one more. So when that happens, when she goes into this white area that's supposed to be heaven, because the person who she's talking, Rhea Perlman, is actually the person who actually created the doll. And we're supposed to be, this was supposed to be a secret, is that Mattel was run by men, but the big secret all along is that a woman created the doll. news. It's not a secret. She was CEO of the company for 30 years. CEO of Mattel for 30 years, like 1945 to 1975, until the IRS caught her for tax evasion or something. The big reveal that the patriarchy said that it created Barbie, it didn't. No one thought the patriarchy created Barbie. Again, don't bother with the facts. Don't bother with sense. Don't bother with chronology. Don't bother. None of it matters. So Barbie is now sent back to the real world. And she is now going to experience the apotheosis of what it means to be a human.
Nathan, I'm struggling. I don't know if I can make this through the last 6 minutes, man. This is like, it's literally gotten to the point where it's just like, he's just like rambling and it's just hate speech at this point. How does he know this much about the movie from watching it once?
Human woman. So we've learned early on in the movie, when she goes to the real world, she's catcalled by a bunch of the construction guys, and she says, I don't have a vagina. Right? Again, amazing line for your 7-year-old girl. She'll love it. So apparently, when she is turned into a real woman, she has now grown a vagina. So the first thing that she does is she goes to the gynecologist, because ladies, the apotheosis of your being is not motherhood. We got rid of that at the very beginning. And it's not being a wife or a partner, because women are supposed to be apart from men. It is your vagina. It is that you go to the gynecologist. Ladies, this is what makes you the most human you can be, is that you go to the gynecologist. Now, I could point out here that that's really transphobic. That according to the same people who made this movie, not all women have vaginas. And not all people with penises are men. I could point that out right here.
Jesus
because
Christ,
it obviously conflicts with the very ending of the film. But instead, I'm going to go with this one. At the end of all of this, they've boiled down. They have a whole conversation about identity and death and meaning. Right? This whole conversation. What does it boil down to at the very end? What it boils down to at the very end, apparently, is being biologically female is the only thing that matters. And that's it, kind of. That's it. Like, it all just boils down to a lady at the gynecologist. That's female power. Female power is Barbie goes to gynecologist, which
Going to admit I've never been to a gynecologist. I don't know what that entails, but I have a feeling Ben here is making a lot more about this part of the video than actually was supposed to be made of it. But the real Ken doll had no penis, Ben. He's gone off the rails, Bucket. He's gone off the rails.
I don't know about you ladies, but that seems like that's not like the most feminist message, that lady parts are the entirety of the lady. So excellent job. And with that, we end the film, and then we have the glossy, credits with a Nicki Minaj song, a Nicki Minaj version of "I'm a Barbie Girl in a Barbie World." This movie started off as Barbie.
It would have been better if it was WAP.
Weird Barbie. It was the toy that was handed off to Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, and they played with it too hard. They decided that they were going to turn it inside out. They're going to rip off the hair. They were going to shave it. They were going to make it ugly. They were going to put all sorts of makeup on it, and then they were going to throw it out in the public. Now, those of us who are on the right, we look at the politics of this movie, we're like, man, so it sounds like a double sandwich. It doesn't sound like a Big Mac. It sounds like a double Big Mac. Right? It sounds like the plot is crap, and the characters are crap, and the humor is crap. And then on top of that, the politics are crap. But you're missing the point. There's a reason this film has 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the reason is, if you are on the left, you can make one of the world's most boring, crappy comedies. You can waste an extraordinary amount of money and talent. You can waste some of the great IP ever created. But as long as you slather it in a bunch of...
Dude, the cope is so strong. He wants them to fail so badly, and then when they didn't fail, he's like, no, it's not because it was good. It's because it was really, really bad.
Warmed over glorious Steinem nonsense. The critics will just salivate over you. They'll pretend that this is an actual good movie. So here's my prediction in terms of market. The marketing campaign for this movie has been astonishingly good. Right? If you walked into this movie and you knew nothing of what I just said, what would you think this movie is? You would think that this movie was probably something like the Disney movie Enchanted, but with Barbie.
No.
It's going to be Barbie in Barbie Land, and then it's going to be Barbie in the real world, and it's going to be charming, and it's going to be funny, and it's going to be warm-hearted, and it's not going to be vicious and cynical, and it's not going to be what morons talk about at Hollywood cocktail parties. It's just going to be fun.
He's just really mad that none of the like weird right-wing movies that are like super badly produced, and some of them even have like an okay like storyline or plot, like I said, these conspiracy theorists come up with amazing fucking stories, right? Like, some of the shit they come up with aren't bad. Even, what is that fucking movie that's out right now? It's about child trafficking. Like like, I haven't heard anybody be like, well, we hate it because it's about child trafficking. They're like, it's shit because it's actually just like a really poorly produced movie. Like, it could be like so much better. Like the storyline and stuff isn't like bad. Like, I think he is. I think he's just mad that they did a good job and people liked it.
It's going to be a place where a mom might be able to take her 7-year-old or 8-year-old girl and enjoy themselves together and then walk out with their arms around each other. You might think that's what it was going to be. And undoubtedly, millions of moms and their daughters will think that. That's what you're seeing at the theaters. That's why you're seeing everybody wearing pink to the theaters. It's become like a Star Wars kind of thing, right? It's an actual cosplay of it. The number of moms who are going to take their daughters back to the theater week 2, good luck with that.
Wait, what? What do you mean? Like, okay, maybe I'm just weird, but I don't take my kids back to movies to see it again. I don't know. Do rich people do that? Is that like if you're affluent, like you do that thing? Like, do people take their kids back to see a movie after the first time that they already did it?
Really, good luck with that. Hollywood decided to empty out its own IP here. They decided they were going to take a golden piece of IP and they were just going to smash it and turn it into Weird Barbie. And I got to tell you,
fuck.
And this is going to have some ramifications for Barbie, the brand. I don't know why Barbie, the brand, would hand this property over to people who clearly hate the property. In the real world, the patriarchy rules. Men are really bad. Women need to separate off from men and hate men in order to be unblinded to the patriarchy, and then they can overthrow the patriarchy and create paradise. That is the thesis of the film. Last comment. Whenever I do film reviews like this, lengthy film reviews of movies like this, the left side's like, why are you taking this so seriously? How dare you take this so seriously? Well, because this is a movie where hundreds of millions of dollars will be expended to get people to watch it. It has a heavily political message.
Holy fuck.
It is explicitly designed to divide men from women. It has these negative messages directed at kids. It is supposed to be a kids movie. It's rated PG-13. It is not marketed to PG-13. It is marketed to PG. It is marketed to moms who are going to skip the PG-13 rating and bring their daughters there anyway. It's a culturally relevant moment, a very culturally relevant moment. And so the entire left's attempts to play the face tattoo syndrome, watch as we take a piece of children's IP and wear its skin around like a mask, like Hannibal Lecter, and we notice it. And then
What the fuck is he talking about? Holy shit. Holy slippery slope, Batman. This is all these people, like, they're so scared of everything. These people live in fear of people breaking into their houses, people robbing them on the street, people peeing on buildings, people turning their kids into trans kids. Jesus Christ, this is what happens when you live in fear all the time. You see fucking things in the shadows. What is it? There's a guy in the bushes. Does he have a gun? I don't know. Red team go! Red team go!
And they're like, you noticed it? You're obviously very upset. I find it upsetting when material that is based on children's IP, marketed to little girls, actually ends up being angry feminist claptrap that alienates men from women, undermines basic human values, and promotes falsehood all at the same time. And I think a lot of people are going to have a right to be mad. So we'll see what the income trajectory of this film is. By the way, it's just going to die in China. The overseas market for this film, good luck with the Chinese Communist government putting their kids in front.
No. Don't worry. We watched the video. They put the 8 dashes in the map, so it's all good now. It's all good.
This sort of stuff. It is not going to happen. Final rating. Out of 10 Barbies. How many Barbies? 10 out of 10 being good.
Already.
The answer is negative all the Barbies. Negative all of them. I honestly, just as a piece of film, this sucker goes in like my bottom 10 ever. Ever. It is that bad. Not just because of the politics, because the plot makes no sense, because the writing makes no sense, because the acting half the time makes no sense. The entire film is a dog's vomit. It is a dog's breakfast of film. So yeah, I'm gonna go with negative infinity Barbies. It is that bad. If 10 out of 10 Barbies is like the stereotypical Barbie, this is Barbie head atop the robot body made by the weird kid from Toy Story 1.
Please stop.
That's what this is. And also, by the way, Oppenheimer is good.
Oh my God, thank God it's over. This man just made a 42-minute rant about a kid's movie. Holy shit, guys. Okay. You know what we have to do, guys? Time for the cleanse. This is how we end it, because holy shit. God damn it, that was long. That was the longest rant. Fuck. I'm trying to think of a movie that I hate that I could make a 42-minute rant out of. I mean, I hate some movies, but I don't think I can think of one. Holy shit. Next time we do this, I'm gonna be on LSD, guys. That's the only way. We're gonna watch some other stuff, but we don't have time. Like Senator Mitch McConnell. You guys saw that shit? He fucking went fucking blank for 30 seconds. I can't watch that. I'm sad now. I can't watch an old dude go blank for 30 seconds and laugh at it. I don't have it in me anymore. Hank Hill, Gunfighter Ballads, not gonna be good enough. Jason Aldean, my new favorite fucking saying of all time. I am going to reply to everything everyone says at this point from this point on with, try that in a small town. It's like the most, I don't know if the song's racist, but I can tell you that that's the most like fucking weirdly aggressive thing to say to anybody. That is very akin to saying something like, I don't like your kind around here. We might watch that another day. We are going to, instead, my friends, we are going to bring it back. I know you guys have seen it. We're going to watch it anyways because this is all I've got. This is what I've got left. Woo! Holy shit. Where is it at? Is this the one? Oh, that's just Ben Shapiro. Is it this one? It has to be this one, right? No, that's not it. Where's the good one? Is this is it right here. This is the good one, guys. You guys ready for this? Try that in a big city. Yeah, that's a good call, Nathan. I am also going to try that on as well. I think that this is going to become my that's what she said, where I say it at times and people are going to be like, that doesn't even apply, but I'm just going to keep saying it because I find it fucking hilarious. Try that in a small town.
Wet ass P-word.
Oh.
Give me
Okay, you guys ready for this?
I'm Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P-word. Make that pull-out game weak. Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P-word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P-word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P-word. Beat it up and catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P-word right in your face. Wipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top if I want to ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P-word is wet. Come take a dive. It continues along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like, a lot more vulgar. Talk your S-word, bite your lip, ask for a call while you ride that D-word. You really ain't never gonna F him for a thing. He already made his mind up before he came. Now get your boots and your coat for this wet-ass P-word. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet-ass P-word. Right, so, this is, guys, this is what feminists fought for. This is what the feminist movement was all about.
Oh, no, he didn't. Miss Peaches?
Oh, that was loud. Woo! All right, guys. Holy shit. You've never seen that, LB? Oh, man. I'm pretty sure this is what set our good friend Ben down the road to hating Barbie. Was Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj. You better get a bucket and a mop. You better get a bucket and a mop. Oh my God. LB, thanks for tuning in. Bucket, DJ, James, always a pleasure. Nathan, Uncle Fatty. Like I say every time, anybody that's watching that hasn't subscribed, please subscribe. Anybody that feels like supporting me for that $3 a month, you can join the Ginger Army. Get access to the prison Trumps, the Tantrum Trumps, the sweatshirt's still up there. I know I got to come up with some new merchandise. The 34 felony shirt's still up there. Maybe I need to make a Ben Shapiro WAP shirt. That might be in. I might do that too. All right, guys. Love you guys. I am making videos, cutting some of this stuff up. So if you guys missed a part and want to not have to rewatch the whole 2.5, 3 hours, I'll be cutting it up and making videos during the week and putting them out so that way people can watch them in much smaller cut up versions. So I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Like I said, you guys are the best community. I'll go to other people's videos. I watch their videos. I see the people in their community, and a lot of times I'm not impressed. I love you guys. I think you guys are the best, and I appreciate you guys. You guys make it worth doing every Wednesday. We will be back next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. All right, guys. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. I might pop in on Saturday or Sunday, just watch some stuff, have some tequila, and say hello. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one.